We invented the remix.
It's true.
Here.
It's
It's here at the Giant Bombcast. That's what we've been working on behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Is what if we took a song and then did a song again? Jan Ochoa, what's your favorite remix?
Oh, the One Blood remix with like 5 million people on it.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
Yeah. And like to hear like Snoop Dogg talking about being a Crip, but he's on a song called One Blood. I was like, wow, the world is healing. This is how we fix everything.
Yeah, truly brought everyone together on one track. Not since we're all in the same gang has there been such unity in hip hop. But what are you gonna do? Jeff Bacalar, Unity. What are your thoughts on it?
If that's a loaded question.
I know, right? Yeah,
I'm all kinds of unity, of course. I am all for it. I thought I was prepping my answer to.
What's your favorite remix?
Remix?
Yeah, what's your favorite remix?
Aside from like the Ignition.
Oh, we can't like that anymore. We can't like that.
No,
anymore.
I mean that's kind of. If that's your favorite, then there's some. Don't pan the camera below your waist. I don't know what you're doing down there, but
I just say it. That song makes me think about a very specific time in my college life when that song came out.
When you were into pissing on people, or what? Like what's the?
Hey.
Did you grow out of that? How does that change? Do you get like you're like my piss fiend days are behind me?
Look, we'll have more piss stories at a later date.
That's true. Yes,
that is true. I could not be more serious about that.
We're paying people to bring fresh piss stories to the website.
It's a good piss story.
Yeah.
It's not a
really
bad piss
good
story. Yeah, it's a good piss story. No, I was in Trader Joe's the other day and I heard I didn't know they did this. They made that Valerie song by Steve Winwood. They did a remix of that. They made it like a dance song. I didn't know that. I guess I just I probably had heard it before, but I was just like, this song doesn't sound the way I remember it. It's fun.
It's better now. Yeah.
I don't know if I'd say better. It's just different, and it's taken on a new sort of shape, and I like it. I think it's fun. I want someone to interview Steve Winwood and be like, "Yo, dog, what do you think of Valerie now?"
So I think he went in and re-recorded. Yeah, Steve Winwood's still with it. I want to say he went in and maybe re-recorded. Can we get information on Winwood here? So I did some reading up on that Valerie remix, as one does, and I believe, and this is maybe some of it's fallen away. I think one of the guys from Daft Punk kind of did that remix, as just like a solo side thing, and then kind of didn't really do anything with it. Maybe played it out as some DJ stuff here and there, and then like not long after that was the remix that probably is what you heard that Eric. Is it Prides or Prids? Prides.
You're already beyond.
So he did that one, and that's the one with the music video that's like him working out with a bunch of ladies.
Oh yeah, it's Eric Price, isn't it? Is that
Price? Yeah, Prides. I think is probably right. And that was the one that caught on and got huge. So I'm guessing that's probably what you heard in that store. That's good. I like that. It's fun.
It is fun, undeniably fun.
And then, anyway. What were we talking about? Danny O'Dwyer is here. Danny O'Dwyer, you're going to be here in the near future. This is crazy.
I'm going to be in your meat space in 24 hours, Jeff. I hope you're ready.
Oh, my God. Fine. I'll take another shower, I guess. This is unprecedented. It's been a while since anyone's been by the house, so it's crazy around here. It's been
clean up for me there, will you? Just to make sure it's presentable.
Oh, sure, of course. Yeah, I'll make sure the garage is very presentable for you when we get together and get everything going for sure. It's definitely not filled with more boxes now than it was before. So this is going good.
We're gonna film some stuff. We're gonna film some Guilty Treasures, which the first episode will be up this coming Monday, I guess, 6 days from now. You'll have to wait and see though what the game that we're going to talk about is, because that's the whole point of the show, is that you don't know until the day. We're also going to do some business, I think, are we?
Yeah, conduct a little business here.
Yeah.
I've got an NBA Jam cabinet that needs a new home, and you have a home, so
I have a home. My wife is the deal is that I have to spend a day tidying the rest of my stuff and throwing it away because she has a sort of a one in, one out policy, which considering we had to close the No Clip studio last year, all that shit came home. So this house is like a disaster zone. So she was like, you want a 4-player arcade cabinet? Where are we putting this? So yeah, I got some tidying up to do.
Yeah, no, that's I've been on a similar track of trying to get stuff at least a little cleaner here. At least on the inside, the garage is still a disaster, and will be right up until the very end. But yeah, I'm at least sorting through things. For me, it has been cables. Cables has been the craziest thing by far. Is just every box I've got. And these are boxes that like I got packed up when I moved and then never unpacked them, or just like when we had a baby, I had to clear out a room in here, and so all that stuff got thrown into the garage. And so it's like every single box has probably 2 to 3 various USB cables and at least one HDMI and one random Ethernet cable in it. And so I
You're
just
making
keep
little
pulling more
bug
and
out
more of them
bags
out.
for charging stuff and filming things.
Yeah.
What is the right solution for all that? Because what I used to do is I basically in my office closet here I have like a mini Radio Shack where you go in and Muzak playing 24/7 in there, but you go in and I've got labeled drawers that have all kinds of USB stuff, and I just accumulate so much of the HDMIs of the display ports and all that stuff, and then I get to the point where I'm just like, do I go through this and throw it all out? Like, do I throw out everything and bring in the new sort of roster of cables? Like, what? Well, I don't know what to do.
Right? I mean, so in some cases, there's going to be, like I'm finding like Cat 5 cables, and like who's got time for Cat 5 when I could be getting Cat 6 cables? So
hell yeah.
So get rid of that stuff, right? But and also there are going to be HDMI cables that you're like, oh, these are not going to do 4K. And I'm going to say most of the ones I have in there are going to be old enough to not do that, and I should really probably just get rid of like 85% of them.
You know what's going to happen is in like 4 years, all the 4 years time, all of the like HDMI 4K ones won't work on old systems or something,
exactly.
and you'll be like, I need those classic cables.
And
HDMI 3.0 will come out and we'll all be screwed.
But like that's the gamble, right? Is like, what is worth more money to you, getting rid of that stuff and having some like sanity back in exchange for getting rid of these cables that you're probably never going to use, or letting them take up space in your life in case you need them again? Like that's been the reason I haven't thrown anything away, is like, well, what if I need this? The one thing I am letting go of in bulk as I go through all this stuff, in prep for packing and moving and all this other stuff, is coax cables. Not going to need coax cables anytime soon, or more than 2.
But I moved into this house 3 years ago.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden I realized I did need coax cable, because my house was pre-wired with coax, like most houses built before 2000 were.
Right.
And I used a Mocha setup in my house to get the internet put onto the coax. And then just like that, I had an entire house with wired internet.
What's the speed on that? Or is there cross-line disturbance or anything?
Gigabits. I think it tops out at 2 gigabits. So it's not nothing. Like it's what you it's good.
It's better than Wi-Fi repeaters or whatever.
Totally.
Yeah. So if I end up moving to a house that is pre-wired for coax, which is likely, it will have coax already, and I won't need to bring more.
Right.
And you can always buy more coax. I don't think it's
right.
Is it?
You can't.
Don't say that.
I started crimping my own shit.
Yeah, get into that.
Now, I don't.
Yeah. You need a crimper? Because I'm your crimper.
Oh no, the crimper's coming to
Oh,
town.
no.
The
Yes.
forever crimp. He's crimp crazy.
I keep the
crimp
middle
walking all
needle
over the
extra
place.
long.
Oh.
Yeah, custom keycaps, custom cables. That's and
Custom
IPAs.
cables
I
is
feel like
definitely
you're
a thing.
hitting some kind of bingo is on the way.
Yes,
here.
my store sucks. Nobody wants to come to it.
Yeah. So I've got old consoles that actually, would benefit from coax cable in limited cases. Like an Atari 2600 or something like that. But I bought. So I keep two things. One, I keep the SVHS VCR I bought to record footage on in the late 90s when I was at GameSpot. When I bought the same VCR we used to capture footage in the office because I was like, that seems like a good VCR. I'm gonna go get one of those. And so I have that. That has coax on it, and I can hook it up to. It's hooked up to this stupid TV here in the background. And I bought very tiny converters that are coax on one end and RCA on the other, like a single RCA that like an Atari 2600 would have, back when there was just like audio and video over RF on one thing. And that eliminates the switch box that they used to use and all the other alligator clips and all the other weird stuff like that. And that was pretty nice. Nowadays, people just mod the consoles to spit out RGB and then they go get SCART cables and all that other stuff. Danny, did you end up with like an abundance of SCART devices gaming in the United Kingdom?
Yeah, I have a bunch.
SCART?
Ireland was the same way. We used all that SCART stuff, and then you'd have SCART. So SCART sometimes you would sometimes have which are the red, white, yellow. What are they called again? Composite cables. So you'd sometimes have composite cables coming out that would go into a SCART adapter, and then that would go in, or sometimes it would come directly out. A SCART, but most TVs would have had like maybe one of those, but then multiple SCARTs, like almost HDMI, like you'd have 3 of the SCARTs. And like talk about like cables that are hard. I was complaining a couple of months back about HDMIs, about there not being any standardized, whether or not they're upside or downside. So when you look at SCART cable, it's just like, why are you that size? It's like wiggly on one end, and you're like, what the fuck? And you could bend the pins if you do it wrong. So that was when you really had to like get around the back and do it. But like I have boxes of. I moved when I moved here. I had a snowboarding bag, which was almost only there was some clothes in it, but mostly it was video game shit. Like that I just had to. I don't know why.
Where was
I brought
your
it
snowboard?
over.
I don't
No
understand.
snowboard. I just had the bag because I used to go on snowboarding trips. In fact, I got so drunk the night before I left that I accidentally brought the Ouya that Ben Howard gave to me because he wanted to get rid of it when he was moving over. And then I was drunkenly packing my bag the night before because we'd gone out in the tear, and I put it in there for some reason. So I brought that over too. So I've loads.
You never
of
know
SCART
when you're
stuff
going to need an Ouya.
Ouya. The boxed Ouya.
Ouya and a jam.
I've got a boxed Ouya in my garage. It's
Not
you'll
surprised.
see it tomorrow. It's prominently displayed.
Maybe
Next to like a Vita TV and some of that sort of stuff.
You should do a little tour or something. You should record a little tour. You should start doing streams of your garage, Jeff. That's what you
Probably should. Yeah. No. So the problem with streaming out of the garage when you're trying to clean the garage is that it's very hard to clean the garage. When you're stopping on every single item and going, look at this crazy thing, and everything's got a 20-minute story associated with it. I found even more E3 notes. Speaking of,
oh, that's cool.
As I've been tearing this room apart and going through all the filing cabinets in here, I found like it was like clearly a trip where I didn't bring a notepad because it's like a tiny notepad that a hotel would have had. I just went like shit and grabbed it. And so it's like, it's like spy notes about games or something. It's real dumb. It's in a stack over here with.
Any idea what era?
I can't remember any of the games in it now, but I did find my WCW press kit.
The big boys play.
Which has 2 full sets of glossy 8x10s of the talent.
Oh my god!
Oh my god!
You got your Paul White here. You got your.
Is that show?
So on.
Yeah.
Yes.
It looked like him. Yeah.
He looked young. I met that guy. He's
and
big.
all this sort of stuff. Yes, he's a tall. He's a tall man. He's a big.
Oh yeah, he's
Joe,
a big guy.
Turns out.
Yeah, he's a big. Who knew?
It's a big
Yes.
boy.
So yeah, I've been I've been kind of going through stuff. So anyway, the upshot of all this cable talk is that I just took one of the moving boxes we bought and just started throwing cables into it with the mindset of I will worry about this later.
Yes, yes. The circle continues.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's how
Exactly.
Packing
Can't wait
the
to
Studio went.
On to my kid.
Yeah. Yes.
You worry about this when I'm dead.
Like spaghetti rat nest fucking horror show.
Yeah, I'm making the rat
this
nest worse because I'm combining multiple rat nests into one super nest. So it used to be. So I have 2 filing cabinets in here, and one was just like full of fucking cables and portable hard drives, as you know, because that's just how it works out. And so I took all that and just dumped it into a moving box. It filled up about a third of it. And I'm like, all right, well, there's more where that came from. Took it out to the garage and started dumping all of those cables into it too. So now it's newer cables at the bottom of a stack of older cables. And I'm just doing it going like, this is the worst way to do this, but God damn it, it's got to get done. Yeah, that's
how they moved us out of the New York office. They did that. They just like they just
threw it on the dumpster.
That's
right.
It. Except instead of a box, it was a dumpster.
Well, I'll get the dumpster around here pretty soon anyway.
That's the best though. There is something insanely liberating about having a big ass dumpster where you're just like, I could throw anything out, I could throw it all out right there, right now.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to call and get one delivered to the driveway because I've got, like a kitchen table that we're probably gonna get rid of, and just a bunch of weird shit. I don't know. It's a process. It's a scary, ridiculous process. But let's talk about some video games here. How about
Video
that?
games.
Yeah.
A lot of video games on this list, considering we're in the middle of the summer.
Yeah.
It's freezing cold though, at least in San Francisco for the summer. It's like 50 degrees out.
It's going to be 85 here today, so it's yeah.
It's been abnormally putrid on the East Coast, and it has been hazy in a way that I've not really
Must be all those
before.
IPAs you're drinking over there.
That's right.
Oh, can the camera pick up my eyes rolling that fucking deliberately? But
Save it
listen,
for the emails. It's
not-
all anyone wrote in about this
Oh,
week.
no, what did I
really
do?
did a real clean and even sampling of that. I'm sure that was fairly cherry picked.
No one wrote in and went like, "Yeah, man,
He's
those
right.
those are
That's
good
right.
beers." Like zero people wrote in.
Well, I guess they all just tweeted me instead to show their support for my snobbery.
To show their support for your beer thing. Samurai Gunn 2 came out this morning.
This morning.
Yeah, it's in early
Hot release.
access. It's the sequel to Samurai Gunn. I feel like this game got announced a zillion years ago, and it's finally here. This gun with 2 ends because you need that. You need that a hot extra end. They've got multiple playable characters in this one. So okay, well, I guess to back up, like we were talking about the Ouya earlier. Always a good reference point. Samurai Gunn, I feel like the original was of the same ilk of like a tower fall, where you're like it's a kind of one screen competitive game. In Samurai Gunn, you are a samurai who also has a gun, and so there is a sword attack, and then you have like pistol shots that you can dump, and the sword can like deflect a bullet, and so you end up in these crazy battles with people on single screens or a narrow screen that you can drop through the bottom and reappear at the top, like that sort of stuff. Like it was trying to do some different things there. Samurai Gunn 2 just kind of blows that out a little bit, gives you a new set of characters, each that has some different abilities, and their swords will work in different ways, their bullets might work in different ways, that sort of stuff. And they've got an adventure mode in there now that you can kind of play alone or co-op.
Neat. There's a single player.
Yeah, it's bots really. So it's not. I mean, I have not found it to be the most engaging thing in the world, but it does have this overworld map that you're kind of like running around and going into arenas to fight, and then you blow up that tower and move on to the next one and all that. And
Cool.
it is cool. The game also has online, so you will you will be able to match up with other players. I don't know if that's just a 1v1 or if it will get like a full play to 4 players in there. I just tried it this morning because it just came out this morning, and I've been playing it all weekend, not all weekend, but I played quite a bit of it over the weekend. And no one was playing online because the game wasn't out yet. So I was like, okay, great. Now that it's out, hopefully someone's going to try to match make. And I eventually got into a match with someone, and in my sample size of one online match, it felt pretty good.
Cool.
So hopefully that's the norm, that you can get some good netcode and get some good matchups and stuff like that, because it's such a precise game. Like, you fire those bullets and it's just like the timing can be devastating if you're going to try to reflect one. And now they got stuff where you have basically like 3 bullets every life, and you can use a bullet to dash instead of shoot the gun. And so that creates situations where it might be character specific, but basically, like, if you dash and then fire the bullet, it's a super bullet that will stagger an enemy if they try to brush it back, or that, and then you can do a super cancel on that. And so they've added layers to that end of the game to try to create more advanced scenarios where people are, just having these crazy deflections and just crazy moments of like getting away with, getting away from certain death. And it's, it's pixel art, but with a little bit of blood, and it's got a really good look to it. If you're watching the video version, that's the adventure mode right there. And so you're kind of run around a map and get into, very, very Samurai Gun looking battles in the towers here.
Does that stuff ever get too complicated? I remember we used to play the hell out of this at GameSpot on like a Friday afternoon, kind of as we were easing off. But what was cool is you could have people who were like not very good at games could kind of jump in, right? Because it was fairly easy to pick up and play. There was not much to learn.
I don't know. So, I mean, that's the thing, playing this adventure mode, like, you don't need to use any of those tactics to advance, right? It's not, it's not, the AI was not super challenging to play with. And so in the one online match I had, we were not employing the advanced tactics. So on paper, it sounds really cool. Yeah. Whether it creates a higher skill ceiling that alienates new players, like, I don't actually know. That could be the case, but it is still, just a few buttons to kind of get in there and do work. So it's not like an overly complicated game. But as you start to choose different characters, like, there's situations where, like, oh gosh, I could have to load up the character list to know for sure. But it's like, if you behead someone, you get a speed boost or something like that, or, with one of the characters. And so beheading is you have to jump a little bit and then hit them with your sword. So you kind of have to be a little bit above the standard kind of standing height for some of that stuff. And and they've got Minute is in there from the game Minute, and that character only lives for 60 seconds, which is hilarious.
That's cool.
There's a Spelunky themed level that you can choose from that is procedurally generated, and that's a fun goof.
That's cool.
Yeah, so they've done the indie game thing of let's put some other indie game stuff and characters in here along the way. And great music. Dose One did the soundtrack. Dose One did this.
Oh,
it's good. Yeah. And yeah, I'm excited it's finally out, and I hope that it gains some traction, because I would like that to be a game that I can just kind of sit down and fire up and find other players. Like, that would be cool as hell if there was just a robust enough online community for it that you could just kind of find matches whenevs. Because it's a cool ass game.
When did the first one come out? It feels like a lifetime ago. It was like 2014.
It really does feel like it was
like a long time ago.
12,
it was like when maybe, yeah. It was like when couch co-op was sort of when all those games, like you said, like fall out,
What was the other one we used to play for Samurai Gunn? 2013. Yeah, that's.
What was the other one that had a sequel recently? That it had a different art style, the running left to right one.
Oh, Nidhogg.
Nidhogg. Yeah. I feel like that was part of that whole wave.
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely, man. That's they're all kind of right there in that same wheelhouse, and I feel like even Samurai Gunn 2 got announced like a very long time ago. I want to say this is a game I saw, like, they were showing some of it at PAX a long time ago, but I could be crazy. But yeah, so it finally made its way out there. But it's still in early access, so there's still obviously more to do there. But seems cool so far. I'm excited to just play more Samurai Gunn, and I hope the online works out.
I was bummed that I didn't work anywhere where I could play with people, because I was thinking, oh, Samurai Gunn 2's out. I would totally play this if I was in an office with folks. But at least hearing that the online's decent and that I'll play the single player stuff with bots, I'm happy to do that. I think that'll be worth the price of entry, because it's only about $15 as well, right?
Yes, yeah, it's 15, and then it's on some kind of launch discount right now. So
cool.
So yeah. The other thing I messed with was Wrestling Empire. We played some of this on UPF. This is the latest M. Dickey release. M. Dickey being the developer of a lot of really questionable wrestling games, and Wrestling Empire is the latest in a long line of these where it's just broken's not the right word. It's got a spirit to it, a certain type. There's words elude me when it comes to this. Like, so in some ways, this game is kind of trying to be a throwback to the N64 kind of Aki style of wrestling. It doesn't necessarily use that control system whole cloth, but I would say it is in that direction in terms of how it plays. But it's as janky as a game can be.
Yeah,
in a way of like an indie game, like not necessarily, because I mean that's even a weird one, because wrestling games, the WWE wrestling games, have been janky as fuck and broken in a lot of ways for years. So I don't mean in a like, oh, the referee spun a full 360 and put a thumbs up, or oh, the ropes wigged out, and it's not like, oh, The Rock suddenly has gigantic arms and Steve Austin is blue. What's going on? No, it's not. It's not that. It's just got a real kind of low rent thing going on, where it's ambitious in a lot of ways. They're trying to do a ton of different modes and options for first blood match and hardcore match and this and that. Just like different. You can have, I think, 30 guys in the ring at once, and it can do it.
Yeah.
Does it do it well?
I mean, it ran
does
well.
this game do anything well? There was something
when I was watching you playing, and it was I couldn't describe it. You're right. Like this game renders you speechless in a lot of ways, because there is something so slow and odd about every character's movements in it that just, it's so it crawled under my skin. Like I was having a difficult time watching these characters so sort of clumsily move around and deliberately do the things that they were trying to do. It was very taxing on me in a way that I'm surprised that this game did. I don't know.
It's the Cruelty Squad of wrestling games.
Yeah.
Or is Cruelty Squad the Wrestling Empire of shooters?
That's a fair question.
So I have stepped through the looking glass on M. Dickey because I needed to know, and now I think I know what this is. It's
the deeper you go on the operation, the more you start to go like, oh, okay, and you're like, okay, all right, he did okay. And then you get a little deeper, like, oh,
really?
Okay. I have not dug all the way into it, but I stopped at a point.
It generated the same feeling of like when I see maybe like a senior citizen in a grocery store and they like drop a cantaloupe, and I'm like, oh, I should pick that cantaloupe up for them.
I'm sorry, what?
And then I like make my way over there, but they're like slowly doing it, and they're like, I got it, young man. And I'm like, no. And you do that, like it handcuffed me in that way. That was so, it broke my heart over and over again. I don't know what the fuck it is. Like, what, there's something broken. That game broke me.
it's got heart in a weird way, and it's it's clearly someone who is very passionate about a certain era of wrestling games and wants to try to make that stuff like and blow it out in a way that only he can. And it's full of like, it does not have licensed wrestlers in it, so instead it's got wrestlers that look a lot like wrestlers you have heard of, with names that sometimes rhyme with their real name or are just like a weird reference to it, where like the Undertaker guy is named Phil Graves.
Yeah, it's very good. That's the best part.
Good.
Of
That's
the
good. I like
line.
that.
Yeah.
And instead of Triple H, it's Ripper Ace. And instead of Kenny
That's
Omega,
clever.
it's Alpha Mel. And then the craziest one, someone in chat mentioned
That's a
this,
good name.
and it's instead of Jake the Snake Roberts, because you don't want to get sued for copyright infringement. Instead of Jake the Snake Roberts, it's Monty Python.
Oh,
So
that's
good.
Because that's okay.
Yeah. Because so you don't get sued. So you don't get sued by an IP rights holder by using Jake the Snake Roberts. You gotta, it's elaborate. It's the sort of thing that you look at and just think like, this came from the mind of a maniac. Like if bodies start showing up at truck stops, like figure out where this is coming from, because there's just something about it that there's something going on. Yeah, like but at the same time I don't know. It's
Was
got a
there a
career
Mr.
mode that I haven't
Perfect?
touched.
Was there a Mr. Perfect or no?
Yes, there was a Mr. Perfect, and I don't remember what his name was now.
It should be like Senor Excellent.
I was
think it's
literally
like-
about to say Senior Excellent. That's so weird that you said that.
That would be
That's
very
really
good. And he's got a Bobby the Brain Heenan lookalike with him as
Yeah.
well. So,
I love that.
there've been a handful of these over the years, and they went polygonal at a certain point, and so this game doesn't look like dramatically different. Like from just at a glance, it does not look dramatically different from the last one of these, which I want to say was called Wrestling Revolution 3D. I could be wrong on that, but
This individual who makes those games is prolific.
yes,
there is a long list of mobile and flash games that are basically
dude.
seem like they're this game.
yes,
Just like
yeah.
over the years.
There's something to be said for just like, I'm going to keep taking stabs at this until I get it right, or until like I'm not done here. There's more for me to do. My work isn't finished. I appreciate that aspect of it. And yeah, I don't know. It's gorgeous. It's garbage. This one looks like all the other ones and plays pretty similarly too. So if you know what these are, you already know what these are. And so I'll say that much. But I appreciate that these are still happening. These are still occurring to us as a people. These are still being inflicted on a populace to whatever end. I appreciate that.
A cicada brood. They just keep happening, and they're just going to keep coming every 17 years or so, and we have to exist with them.
Yeah, pretty much. Jan, Pokemon Go Fest happened. This was all over every time I loaded up the App Store on my phone, it was trying to talk to me about Pokemon Go Fest, and it just seemed like this was a big moment for them. Is this like an anniversary type thing that they do, or what is the fest? Is this
So the Go Fest is
Go
they used
Fest.
to have like an in-person event that folks would like buy tickets to go to. I think they
okay?
did it
Was this
in
thing that was in like Chicago or something, right? Yeah,
Chicago was the last in-person one, but because of the pandemic, starting from last year, they started doing like a remote thing. So you just got to buy like your virtual ticket, and you get access to all the festivities of Go Fest.
Go festivities.
Go festivities. And last year, I was really, really high up on it. And Pokemon Go Fest last year was super incredible in terms of like the Pokemon that are spawning, the different raid bosses. Like each hour was a different theme, and like there were like screen effects for everything. Like, hey, here's the lava hour, here's the ice hour, here's like the dragon hour, and you'd get like a bunch of different Pokemon you wouldn't normally get, or the raid bosses were repeats of the legendaries, but sometimes if you're not actively playing Pokemon Go, you'll miss the raid bosses. And this year they did stuff a little bit different, and I'm not 100% sure if I enjoyed this year as much as last year. For example, a lot of the Pokemon that were spawning were just like normal ass basic stuff you could normally catch. I was hoping they'd up the spawns of some of the rare Pokemons, some like the dragon types you don't normally come across. And it was a 2-day event, so it was Saturday and Sunday. The first day being like you have like this hit list of like, oh, you got to collect all these Pokemon in this biome, and then the next hour it's going to change. And then I thought that it'd be like a sliding progression of like, okay, you catch all these guys, you got to catch more people or something like that, like higher rewards for all the stuff that you're doing. And there was some of that, but then you get to the end and of like your little collectathon is like, oh, okay, I got everyone. Do I get anything special? Do I get the chance to catch like a special Pokemon, which you do, but you only get one of them. And then you do get the choice between a special Pop Star Pikachu. You get like a Pop Princess Pikachu or a Rocker Pikachu, which was cute. But I mean, other than that, you're catching a lot of Pokemon that you could have been catching already. I saw a lot of people complaining about the shiny rates, which are the special variants of Pokemon, not being as frequent as last year. Day 2 of Pokemon Go Fest was a little bit more fun. I missed out on a lot of raid bosses over the past year because of the pandemic, and just I don't know if it was like the chase that my partner and I did of getting her to level 40 before like the legacy gifts cut off. But then after that, I think we were just super burnt out on Pokemon that we just stopped playing like altogether.
Yeah.
But we picked it up for Go Fest, and like there was a bunch of raid bosses that we wanted to get. They were very generous in that they give you 3 raid passes because these are paid items you have to access the raids. And they had a rolling quest that if you do one raid, they'll give you another raid pass, and that went on for like about 8 times. So you could theoretically, because they give you 3 free raid passes in the store, so you could have like 12 free raids before you'd actually have to drop any money. Should back it up. Go Fest, I think this year was $5 just to get in. And that gave you access to like all the special quests and the themes, and gave you access to the 2 Pikachus. But I don't know, just something felt different about it this year. I don't know if maybe it was just like the spawns of Pokemon, just like the lack of shiny variants, or like visually, like they've been doing some work to Pokemon Go and making it more dynamic when you enter in a raid or like a gym. But like last year, there were all these screen effects, like confetti. It actually felt like a celebration. And this year, it was just kind of like, oh, here's this cool Pikachu. That's neat. My partner and I, we went down to the Embarcadero, and we started day 1 late because of some birthday shenanigans for her. And when we got there, the whole pier was just flooded with people wearing like these paper Pikachu hats, and like we kept asking people, like, "Where'd you get the hat? Where'd you get the hat? Where'd you get the hat?" And no one would just give us a straight answer. Like,
what?
Yeah, and it's like we were wearing masks and everything. A lot of people weren't. It was like, hey, was it there? Was it here? Because I guess like Niantic's office is in the ferry building or something.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And like we found a dude wearing a Niantic shirt, and we're like, "Do you have the Pikachu hats?" And then he smiled and said no.
Were they staff or something?
No.
Were they?
He looked like he seemed like he might have been a volunteer, because like a lot of people prior to us getting to him had like very technical specific questions about like, hey, my app isn't loading, like I bought these coins, but like I never got the refund for them, blah 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 blah. And like this poor guy just like,
is that? I love it so much. Do it all the time.
And like this poor guy in like this Niantic shirt and like a Pikachu paper visor thing was just like, I don't know, man. I can't answer these questions about why you weren't refunded. Go ask Apple or something. And then when we got to him, he seemed happy to not give us the Pikachu hat. And then we thought, oh, maybe day 2 there's gonna be more Pikachu hats, and there were none.
Man,
I can't believe he smiled at you. What a dick.
He was probably having a bad day. It's fine. It's fine.
He's
I
having
get
a
it.
bad day. He's like, oh, cool. I can make these people feel bad. Here
That's
we go.
right. Fuck you, Go Fest.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just like I don't know if it's like something like that I'm missing from the game, or something.
Could you have just had like bad drops or something? Like maybe someone else had a better experience.
100% possible. Like I'll see people on Twitter saying like, "Oh my god, I got 12 shiny legendaries. Look at these Rayquazas." And then meanwhile, it's me and my partner. It's like, "Cool, I got this Ferrothorn. Neat. Oh, look, it's a Snorlax." But I guess like if you haven't been actively playing Pokemon Go, or like you missed a bunch of stuff, or you're coming back into it, it was a good event to try and fill up your Pokedex. And a part of Pokemon Go that I have abstained from is like getting perfect stats for everyone. I'm just trying to fill out the decks. But there were people rampantly trying to trade with other folks in person. Like, yo, like you got perfect IV Mewtwo. Like, let me have it. Like, what attacks you got on that Zapdos? And it was fun to see people like trying to wheel and deal, and it felt like the initial pandemonium of Pokemon Go when it came out. But the event in its entirety, it was just like, oh man, I just wish I had that other bird. Oh, the other thing that pissed me off though is Pokemon Go put out an infographic showing all the raid bosses, right?
Mm-hmm.
And some of the raid bosses are region locked, so you can only get them if you're in like Brazil or you're in Asia. And the way it was presented to us is that it looked like 2 of the specific region locked legendaries would just be available for that hour. And then like my partner and I, we were like scanning around, like, all right, do you see Uxie? You see the Uxie? No Uxie? Oh, okay, damn it. And then I had to like do like a quick like Google search or like look on Twitter, and like people were like super pissed. They're like, I thought I could get Uxie, I can't get Uxie. Uxie's an elf. Uxie's like a little elf Pokemon.
Okay.
And we only had Azelf.
Damn it, Uxie.
We could only get Azelf, which we had like 12 of already. And okay, so this introduces like another weird thing in Pokemon Go, in that you do these raids for the legendary Pokemon, right?
Right.
But you can't do much with them afterwards. They just take up space in your box. Like you'll have like 12 Mewtwo's, but you can't place them in a gym. You can't do anything with them other than just like attack. And it's like they're just taking up space. And then you feel that weird thing of like, man, like do I get rid of this? Do I get rid of this legendary?
It's Jeff at his garage again. Say we're back there.
Basically, yeah.
Cables,
coax
air your
cables.
cables.
Like,
Yeah.
that's forget it, man. I mean, you could trade them to other players, right? Is that the idea? But like everyone probably has the same problem at this point because you're all in the same region doing that. I mean, so can you log into the same Pokemon Go account on multiple devices? Like not at the same time or anything like that, but like, if you had to say an Android phone that you could log into this with.
Yes.
Okay.
You could
So you could
be transported somewhere else.
Yeah.
Take a quick visit and get them that way.
Okay. So between like, because you could go all out with, because if you just spoofed GPS, they could still look at your IP and go like, you're not really there. But a VPN and spoofing your GPS, assuming that the game is not looking for those apps running in the background, which I know they have tried to crack down on some of that. I wonder if you could get over on them that way.
Probably, because part of the reason why we went to the Embarcadero is because that area is notorious for spoofers. Like, you'll jump into a raid, there won't be anyone, and they've introduced remote raid passes, so you don't have to be directly up on the spot anymore. But there's been days where my partner and I will be like at the little location to do the raid, and we'll be looking around. There's no one around. But it'll be a full-on group of like 18 other people. But yeah,
What's this world coming to?
Yeah.
I did it for the Uxie, you know.
Yeah, that's you gotta get a Uxie. Yeah.
Never gonna get it.
You gotta hook up a Brazilian Uxie. You gotta hook up a Brazilian VPN and so can you only trade with players if you're like staring them in the face? Does it have to be local proximity?
I think if your friendship level with a player is like at the very max,
Yeah.
then you can do trading from anywhere. I believe that's what it is.
Like getting that friendship up is probably like you have to be in the same place, in the same raids, doing the same stuff, right?
You have to be like giving them gifts constantly. You have to be like doing the raids together. Yeah.
Just like real life.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I apologize to every Giant Bomb community member that has friended me and that I never give them shit. But thanks.
But none of you are rolling through with Uxies, so what are we gonna do?
Where's my raid invites for the Uxies, y'all? Huh?
Yeah.
I got a bunch of Mewtwo's. You want them, Jan?
Yeah.
I got
thinking there's
like
gotta
3
be a better way. So if it's proximity based, do you trade over Bluetooth?
I don't know actually. I think it's just probably pinging your location.
Right. Okay. So could you spoof GPS to be in the same location as someone, both get on the same VPN so you're on the same like subnet or whatever, so like from a network perspective you're also in the same location. All right. Much to think about. This is all I've been thinking. This sort of stuff is all I've been thinking about since the announcement of Windows 11 being able to run Android apps. Is like how much easier that will be. So like obviously because Android emulators have been around for a long time. BlueStacks has existed for years, and there's a few others. But I feel like every time you look up any Android emulator, it is just people going like, what the fuck is in this? Because I downloaded it and now is this malware? This is malware, right? Like I just downloaded malware, right? It's like people cannot decide if BlueStacks is safe or not. I had BlueStacks installed for a long time. And the one thing it did do, which is like a really nefarious thing that is like probably smart on their behalf, is like, so you install BlueStacks, it runs on Windows, you can run a bunch of Android software and games and stuff like that in a window on your PC. It's kind of neat. But what they do, if you're not paying BlueStacks, if you're running like the free version, it will occasionally just install apps onto your fake Android device.
What?
And so, which
That's
is like,
awesome.
It is driving installs. So like presumably whoever made those apps is paying BlueStacks to say, hey, can you like drive us up in the Google rankings by forcing an install on like 50,000 machines tomorrow? And they're like, yeah, we got you, dog. And
that's in our TOS. They signed up for this shit.
That's great.
And it'll pop up and ask for reviews for some of those apps and stuff too. So it seems like that is maybe the game they were playing. At least when I was running it, maybe it's a different game now. But that was the scam then.
Someone's going to jail. Someone's going to jail for Pokemon. That's what's happening. That's what this is ending up.
It's not me this time.
I ain't going to jail for Pokemon. Not again.
Not that last time.
Last time
they
was
caught me flinging crap down the hallways at the tournament.
Oh yeah,
yeah. So yeah, I don't know, but that's something that like I have an extra Android device here that I don't do much with, and so there was a part of me that was like, well, so the first thing I did is I installed like the Android beta on it last week and looked at it and went like, that's still Android. But then I was like, well, what could I really get up to with a phone that I don't care about, that I could really install whatever on and like not worry about like, oh, it's gonna hack my stuff. Like, no, none of my stuff's on here. So what could I get into? Yeah, what kind of like phone crimes could I truly get into? Cheating at free to play phone games. That's how I want to spend my time. Fuck sorting cables. I've got a Tap Titans 2 clan to run.
Priorities.
So anyway, but I'm sure like obviously Niantic has spent a long time trying to think about different ways to foil rookie maneuvers like the ones I'm suggesting. I'm sure that there are just like way more high-end criminal operations working to fucking defraud Pokemon Go players or something. So
people still sell like level 40 or higher accounts on eBay. You know, it's like
Right.
wow. And
Damn.
yeah,
Yeah.
like here's a full Pokedex. Here's like shiny legendaries, like all of them. I didn't
much
even
that
know I
set you
could
back?
get this one. You know, I don't participate in those nefarious affairs.
There was a
Danny.
bit of a hesitation there, Jan. I don't
Yeah,
know if I believe
It's
you.
other nefarious affairs regarding Pokemon I participate in.
Yeah, again.
So I logged into Fantasy. The last few times I've logged into Phantasy Star Online 2, there have been people in there trying to sell gold or Meseta. And Meseta, the current currency for New Genesis. And it's always you just look at it and go like, we'll sell you this amount of money for $9, and it's an insane scheme. But a couple of times I've looked at it and went like, that would solve a couple of very dumb problems I'm having with this game right now.
Pokemon Go accounts on eBay more expensive than I thought.
Really?
What are we looking
Yeah.
at there, Danny?
I mean, the top end here, there's some people who are fishing for $25,000 for a level 40. That's probably
Get fucked. What the fuck?
Bit
Come
too
on.
much. Closer to like 2,500 is kind of where it seems to even out here for a level
Yeah.
40.
You gotta
Here's
search.
$1,000 level 40 account, 100 IV Rayquazas, 130 plus 100 IV, and
Rayquaza,
230.
inspect the deck.
What is-
Ghostface, you god.
Do you like Rayquazas? Is that good?
Yeah, that's the one I wanted a shiny of.
Okay,
Oh,
it's
yeah,
two
me too.
level 100 ones. There you go. That's retirement
Yeah.
money. Use it for 401k.
Yeah, but
Who
just think of
needs
it as an investment. You know, if you're
Yeah.
if you're getting that account and then trading all the stuff over to your other account and then and all that sort of stuff. But like, I guess people in chat are saying like, check the box that shows recently sold items so you can see what they're
Yes.
actually selling for and not what they're asking.
Nah, don't
Yeah.
worry about that.
That's
Yeah,
the
no,
move.
yeah.
You want to go with someone with no reviews because they're
Right.
fresh.
It's a small business.
Exactly.
At that
Yeah,
point.
Yeah,
that's
it's a mom and pop.
they don't know what they have, so they're probably asking not enough for it at the end of the
Exactly.
day. So if they're like, I've got a sealed Super Mario 64 here, it's in really nice shape, and I only want $800,000 for it, you'd be a fool not to jump on that.
Yeah, especially if they only take Western Union. That's a sign that it's
Right. No, it's like carefully concealed cash and send it to this mail drop.
yeah.
Like I think that's how my roommate got arrested.
What one of these is like one of these eBay offers is like this is a temporary permanent ban account if you want it, and then there's a note of you can save up to 20% when you buy more of these specific accounts. So
Oh,
you know, maybe we rack up and then figure out what we can do with those afterwards.
right. Yeah, I mean, got to be worth something.
Shiny nose pass though. Nothing with an Uxie. Nothing with an Uxie.
All right. Well, yeah, we'll figure out what Operation Get Jan and Uxie is going to entail. Whether because can you remote raid to a different region?
Yeah, so if someone entered an Uxie raid and then sent me an invite, I could hop in, and that'd be all legal.
Okay, so there's
Yeah.
legal ways for you to get an Uxie without having to go to Brazil. That
Yeah.
seems. Well,
I don't
why
even know if
haven't-
Uxie's in Brazil. It might be in like
Oh, okay.
China, maybe.
Just don't go
Where-
to
I
I
jail
got,
over
that,
there.
I got that Chinese Uxie.
You know?
It's my favorite Ramones song. What's the Pokemon Go scene like in Disneyland?
Oh, you know, you would think there would be a bunch of spoofers in Disneyland also because there's just a poop ton of people and, you know, you're waiting in lines and then like,
Right.
oh, what else is there to do? Let's play some Pokemon. No dice. We logged on and thought it'd be like Pokemon for the pickin'. Nothing. No one is playing no one is playing Pokemon Go in Disneyland.
Yeah, because they're
Is
in
there some-
Disneyland.
I was gonna say, there must be some like Disney princess app that they're all into.
Everyone's just like trying to order food like
Yeah.
for like an hour from then. Everyone just wants to Dole Whip.
They're in
Yeah,
line
I mean-
for the Star Wars thing that you have to. They have raid parties for that.
They
have raid parties
do.
for and the Marvel thing in California adventure, whatever.
Yeah, it's like checking into a flight. It's hilarious.
Yeah. You're in group 42 or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
So how was Disneyland? Like the mere concept seems like still somewhat terrifying to me, of the idea of going to a theme park right now. But how was it?
So I will say that my partner and I were responsible. We got tested before we went, and then we got tested again after. Negative across the board. Vaccines work. Lo and behold.
Turns out.
But yo, it was terrifying being around that many people.
Oh.
But like, it's like it's just weird because we've been indoors, or like even when you go grocery shopping, everyone is like super far from each other. Everyone is looking at each other. It's like, you stay away from me.
Yeah.
But
And they're wearing masks.
Yeah, and they're wearing masks at Disneyland. No masks at all. Like, we eventually like took hours off because it was so dang hot, and like trying to like walk around, like wait in line was just like miserable, that we would like pop it on and off, and then eventually after a while we like had to take it off. Not had to take it off, but like made the decision to take it off. But it was wild, y'all, because so there's the big parking lot that everyone goes to, and then like the front gates. Normally there's a tram that will shuttle you back and forth between locations. No one told me there was no tram, and that you would have to do almost a mile walk to the park.
What?
And because we brought our dog along that we've been dog sitting, we did this trek, not only to the park, back to the parking lot, but we had to do it again in the evening so we could go walk and feed the dog. And man, this walk was miserable. But like being in the theme park in general, like everything felt semi-normal. You couldn't just walk up to most of the food stalls. You kind of had to make a mobile order, set your little time slot of like, okay, I want to pick up this turkey leg at 12:40, and then you'd roll up then. You did have the option to like wait in like a standby line, but then that would take exponentially longer than just placing the order through your app. But the thing, I will not let go of this tram thing, because I thought, okay, well, they don't want people getting in and out of the tram because then they'd have to sanitize everything. People are going to be sitting in the same row. And then I thought, because the rides, they're probably wiping them all down and spraying them off, right? Because people are touching everything. People are just sitting down. And then when we get to the rides, they're not doing anything in between people getting on. So it's one of those deals where it's like, could I just have the tram, please?
Yeah, I don't see why the tram wasn't there. That
could I have a scooter?
Like the tram should have been there.
Do you guys have like Heelys to give to people? I don't know.
Yeah. So were you able to pre-order like an exclusive? Did you get like a steel box with your turkey leg, or like does it come with like collector's edition?
Someone was very gracious and gave me a cup of ice at one of the food stalls.
Terrific.
Wow, really?
That'll be $5, please.
Yeah. But like, so Danny, you brought up earlier, but they have boarding groups that start at 7 a.m. for two of the newer rides. In Disneyland, it's Rise of the Resistance, and in California Adventure, it's Spider-Man's Web Slingers or something.
Marvel Academy, or I forget what it was.
The Avengers campus is like the little new land they have. And I love Marvel, for good or bad. Grew up reading the comic books, but I was very underwhelmed when I went through Avengers Campus, because it was like, here's like this little section. Oh, who could be there? This looks like Doctor Strange. And then like, oh, that's where Spider-Man would be. And then they have this giant tower that's supposed to be like Avengers Campus HQ. And then they'll have cast members pop out and just wave from like a balcony. So it's like, oh, look, it's Loki. Look, it's Black Widow. But one of the hilarious things, though, is like you'll go to Disneyland and you'll see little kids get super jazzed to see Donald Duck or or a Disney princess, like, oh my god, it's Elsa. But then you go to California Adventure and you go to the Marvel side, you'll get all these dude bros going like, oh my god, it's Loki, what's up, Loki. And then like the poor cast members just like,
hey there,
dude.
But
what is up, bro?
But the web slingers ride in Avengers Campus is, I don't understand how technology works, but you just throw on these 3D glasses and you just like make the pantomime motion of you're thwipping as Spider-Man,
cool.
and then you just shoot out webs, and then it's like a gallery game, a shooting gallery game.
Oh yeah.
And you can just rapidly like thwip away, but then if you want to put a little pizzazz on it, you could hold your arms out and like pull stuff towards you, which is wild, and it's cool because you're going at the same time as 3 other players, and you guys can totally work together to affect the current level you're on. And there was a point in the game where my partner and I and like the 2 other people we were on the ride with, we were like, all right, we're just gonna pull everything. And then like we wound up getting like one of the high scores of that morning, which was wild. They do this with like the Millennium Falcon ride or the Smuggler's Run in Disneyland, where it's like it's a game technically. But that is harder to coordinate, and that how they're doing everything makes sense because it's a bunch of levers and buttons. Here, just like shooting my arms out and pretending to be Spider-Man was like wild. I don't know if like there's like they have connects everywhere, just like sensing motion depth, or like a bunch of old iPhones doing it. But it was cool, and it worked. It worked really, really well. But I want to shout out the Rise of the Resistance ride. I love theme parks. That was the most amazing thing I've ever been on.
Really? Describe it. What is it?
So it's apparently our experience was a little bit rushed because it was early in the morning, and I think the folks were worried about the ride breaking down because for the past previous days, because of the influx of people, and because it was super hot in Anaheim.
It was overheating. Is that?
I guess so. But
okay, because I don't know how willing I am to hear that before I go on a ride.
Like, get there fast before it explodes behind you. Like just
breaking down on us about noon time.
The Harry Potter ride broke down on me when I was upside down in the spider cave.
Oh no!
Shut up! Oh, no. Really?
Yeah, but it broke down like 3 times, so we got like 4 goes in a row. So
there we go.
It was pretty great.
Right, worth it.
They just let you stay on if it happens.
But I thought it would just be a ride where it's like, you sit in a car and then you have like a virtual screen projection in front of you and it's just shaking
and then they
you.
move it around. Yeah.
But like you get shuttled off into like a standing shuttle, and then you have like what is Admiral Akbar? He's like a calamari person thing?
Calamari, squid man.
Yeah,
Squidman.
Squid, yeah.
And
Squidward, I think is the technical term.
Squidward. And I thought you'd just be standing in the ride, and it's like, oh, this is pretty cool. Like, oh, there's like an animatronic. That's neat. And then you're on there for like 2 minutes, and you get captured by like the Sith or whoever, and you get shuttled to a different location where there's like a bunch of stormtroopers just standing there, and it's not like projections, it's like actual statues, and you get shuttled to like another place, and then you sit in the actual ride, and this is after maybe like 5-6 minutes of being in another place, and then from there it's like you're just in what feels like you don't see the tracks, right? So it's weird because you just look like you're on an ice skating floor, and you're just hockey pucking around and everything, and you're going underneath like an ATST, and like there's lasers shooting around, and it's like the Indiana Jones ride on steroids.
Cool.
So it was like absolutely amazing. The thing that was such a bummer though is you could only ride it once because there was no standby line. So if you didn't get in on the virtual queue in the morning, you had no chance to ride that ride.
Oh
okay,
man!
What if we get a second Android phone, right? So you download the Disneyland app twice, you book it twice with 2 different phones, and then you just show them the different
and then you
phone.
Go to Disney jail.
That's right. I got thrown in Disney jail for being too drunk.
You and Banksy in Disney jail.
But it was cool all in all, except that walk back to the tram or to the parking lot.
Killer.
I looked at my steps, and then my partner and I each approximately walked 13 miles each day,
Nice.
Sick.
which was wild.
Get him in.
It was great.
Yeah, those Dole Whips, man. They're not,
Yo, okay. If you go to Disneyland and you get a Dole Whip, I hate Dole Whip.
Yeah.
But they have like little packets of tahini there.
Okay.
Shit's wild. Adds a little bit of little bit of spice. Mwah. Chef's kiss, baby.
Tahini on a Dole Whip. Okay.
Yeah.
What's it?
Okay.
What's
All right.
Yeah.
what's a Dole
We've
Whip?
got so much
Like-
tahini in this house.
crushed orange kind of ice cream thing, like
It's
or
like
banana.
a
Sorry,
pineapple
banana.
soft serve.
Like
Yeah.
Oh, that sounds nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a banana or banana, whatever it is.
But
Okay. Yeah.
if I go again in the future to Disneyland, I need to stop wearing my fucking boots. All the shoes I have are boots, heavy ass boots. And then,
Sneakers,
like,
dude.
No,
I don't.
You gotta
I have one pair of sneakers.
loafers.
Yeah, wear them.
Get them on you. Yeah.
Especially in the
Gotta
heat.
Yeah.
Get those ultra boosts, man. Gotta be floating.
I thought about.
Come on.
I thought about getting the those knockoff Walmart Yeezy Cloud things,
Mhm.
but then they
Yeah.
were
No
gone.
knockoffs when it comes to your feet care, foot care. You gotta spend. You gotta take care of your feet. Okay.
But even then, like the different shoes for different people. Like I bought the
Totally.
vape when Nike put out Vapor Max. I was like, man, walking on a cloud. That sounds like a great time. And I got them. They destroyed my feet. I got them and warmed
they
packs.
destroyed your feet.
Oh, are
They
those the
just-
Tide Pod shoes?
Yes. Well, they have they're just like a clear, like there's just a ring of air, but not in the center for whatever reason. And
Okay.
it's just the support on it is strange and felt bad to me. I remember asking Lang. I was like, "You bought a pair of these? You like them?" And like everyone was like, "Oh, this is the best pair of shoes I ever got. They're so comfy, all this stuff." And I put them on. I'm like, "I'm dying here. Like I'm the fucking dying. I'm gonna take these shoes and throw them in the water. Fuck these shoes." And it got me off Nikes in a big way. Like I was like, "These Boost, this Ultra Boost, this is doing it." But man, Vapor Max fucked my shit up. So you got to be careful with that stuff.
Shouts out to these boots though. These boots, like these were the ones that held me out
Whoa.
throughout day 2. Day 1,
Whoa.
I had wooden soles in my boots, and that was a dumb idea.
Oh no.
Oh yeah,
Oh, no.
that's probably not a. Yeah, that's probably not any good. Disneyland, like I
Company's
have not
garbage.
been to Disneyland. Well, yeah, of course. I mean,
Hey, company's garbage.
all companies are
Right.
garbage. Come on,
Minus the company we have here.
sure. It's been a long time. Me and a couple of friends went when I was like 19 or something like that, and that's the last time I was there. But even then, I felt like it had changed a little too much. Like in my head, the Disneyland I remember is still that fucking 50s ass retro futuristic, like Tomorrowland. Look at these crazy future shuttles and the monorail, and you're like all that other shit. Like that's what I want out of a Disneyland, not like the modern Disney. We own every IP. We want you to have a Disney experience every 12 seconds, whether you know it or not. Which is that I think that's literally true.
Yeah.
Like that Disney is not what I'm, like hearing you talk about how it just has turned into IP hell that is the fucking Space Jam 2 of theme parks. Doesn't like that
Such a
just
bad
sounds
movie.
terrible.
It's such a
I-
bad move.
As somebody who doesn't care about, because I was there the week after E3, for
Okay, yeah.
a couple of days. It was the day after they lifted the restrictions, so I was pissed because we had booked it with we're going to be you have to wear a mask and all this sort of stuff. It was like a day later, and it was like 5% of us were probably wearing masks. And anyway, that's neither here nor there. As someone who doesn't care about Marvel or Star Wars, it's awesome. Because it means everyone's over there and everyone's over there. I'm
Right.
mostly there for my
Interesting.
kid, and all she cares about is Mickey Mouse and Minnie Mouse and seeing Donald Duck and being in Toonland, which is always the least populated part of the park. She went on that roller coaster, the
Yeah.
Chip and Dale's one.
Yeah.
She's like just 3 years old, and I was like, I'm scared of roller coasters, and she was like, let's go. She went on it like 12 times. It was a blast. So like, I had a great time because I'm with you. Like I don't care about a lot of the, stuff that's there. But like, I like Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah.
I like the teacups are kind of neat. That's fun.
Love the
and a couple of
teacup
things
ride.
like that. I don't like that my daughter still sings "It's a Small World" every day. It's been like a month, but it was fun for the kiddies. I think if you can get your kid into some of those IP, you're set for life.
She is already on the way with that. She is a Beauty and the Beast Belle.
Oh,
she,
nice.
She will not eat lunch without her Belle figure. So it's already too late for us.
I can't blame her. What
That yellow dress.
What's the deal? Is the Florida one and the California one is there a better one? Is there a commonly agreed on?
Florida's huge.
One
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's got
huge.
Epcot Center with all the different sodas you can drink.
Yeah.
is that what it's that what people? That's why people go there for the soda.
Sodas from around the world.
My wife is
Cokes.
telling me. My wife is telling me about what was the Disney arcade or something she went to. It was like there's like around the Florida one. There's like a pier or some sort of outdoor place they tried to turn into like a nightlife Disney spot. I forget what it's called, but there was like a Disney arcade or something, or it was like all
The
video
red light
games and
district.
stuff, and it only existed for like 6 or 7 years. And she went there and she was telling me about it, and I was like, what is this? And I found some old YouTube videos on it, and it looked like it was like a video game center that they made. But it's like
Disneyland used to have one also, and I feel like,
oh really?
When I went as a young kid, that would have been, I don't know, probably like 84 or somewhere in there. They had, well, I wasn't even 9. I was probably younger than that. But there were video games in Disneyland proper, but then at the Disneyland Hotel there was a whole separate area. I think it was the Disneyland Hotel, but it was like there was a little bridge and some water you had to walk across to get to this like arcade that was kind of almost like a little island. It was like a pirate themed arcade, if I remember right. I could be wrong. It's been a long time. And I was way more interested in those arcades than anything else.
But those are like actual arcades, right?
Those are just like straight up video games. It wasn't like fucking 9 different Fix-It Felix machines or whatever. It was like legit real arcade games.
So this place was like bespoke. I think the chat said it was Disney Quest. So it was like each one was like they were only there. They were like video games made for this place.
Oh, that's interesting.
It was like I'd never seen. It looked like pretty cool. Apparently, they tried to open up other ones. I think one in Chicago and a couple of other places, but it all just fell apart. It was part of that. I think like that first wave of non-video game companies trying to get into video games and just totally shit in the bed. Like I think it was one of those ones. But that sounded. Yeah, I wish I could
makes
go
sense.
Check that out.
Yeah, I wonder where those machines are. They're probably in some Disney. They're probably in the Disney vault somewhere.
Oh yeah, right next to the Blu-rays of Aladdin.
Right.
Yeah. And all the Nazi stuff.
Yeah. You mean Walt's head?
Last thing about Disneyland is my partner's really big into collecting all the pins, and it's really cool. It's really bad. It's really bad. But we were in one of the stores, and then like I was pretty tired from that day, and then she pulls a pin down. She's like, "Hey, look, it's the KeyBoy you like." And then they had a Kingdom Hearts pin. And then I swiped that shit immediately, bought that, and thought about buying a second one, but then, the KeyBoy, he was right there.
Terrific.
KeyBoy is a really great name for, I'm going to say that's what we're calling Kingdom Hearts fans from here on out.
KeyBoys.
Little KeyBoys.
Yeah. Splitgate, Danny, what is that?
Splitgate. It's been around. I mean, this has been around for a little while. I think it was Splitgate. Arena Warfare, it was called before.
Okay.
This is the free-to-play kind of. It's I guess people are calling it Halo meets Portal. I get a lot of Unreal Tournament 2004 energy off of it as well. Maybe just because I think it's a UE4 game. It has an announcer that does a lot of stuff like that, which like Halo cribbed from other arena shooters like Quake and Unreal Tournament. So maybe it's generational, but I think what happened is this game came out Weirdly enough, I think it's actually developed by Lake Tahoe. I think the team
What?
is. They're
Okay.
on the Nevada side of Tahoe. Yeah.
Nice.
So
All right.
they released
So
this.
like looking at this, I remember this. Like I was like, this can't possibly be the game. It's a first person shooter, but then you kind of have portals also. But yeah, okay,
Yeah.
all right, okay, yeah.
So what happened? I think they released it free to play a couple of years back. I think they had a round of funding recently, and now they're releasing it on new consoles, old consoles. They're doing the whole console release. So at the moment, it's in like I think it's still. I don't know if it's free for now or free. It's in beta or something, but it's on Steam anyway. You can go pick it up for free. And yeah, it's basically sort of Halo-esque in terms of the shooting is very much your sort of like kind of like
Yeah, and like movement speed is kind of Halo-esque,
it's not as floaty,
if I remember right.
Yeah, it has a double jump, but it's not as my feeling in Halo a lot of the time was like I was caught in the air and I was kind of like a sitting duck. It's not. It's faster in the air than that. To me, it's punchier. It's not like Quake speed, but it feels like Unreal Tournament kind of esque. But you're basically shooting. There's a bunch of guns in it. They're kind of, they're not zany or anything. There's like an assault rifle, a railgun, a sniper rifle, and but with, at least on PC, with Q and E, you're basically dropping portal style portals where you can put an entrance and put an exit, and there are specific like pads in the arena where portals can go. So it's not everywhere.
Okay. Yeah.
And it is, I am having so much fun with it. I played with it 2 years ago. I don't know what's happened since. They definitely, like, when you boot this thing up, it's very PUBG, Rocket League-esque. They have a battle pass.
Oh, wow. Huh.
Your player characters front and center and how they look, and you immediately go into unranked and you can unlock other game types, but it's basically team deathmatch. I think it's 8 minutes or a score limit. I've always hit the score limit. And you're on teams of, I've only ever had 4v4, but the strategy, God, I'm having so much fun. Like, I don't know what it is. Maybe I'm just in with sort of noobs as well at the start or something, but I'm having just like dropping a portal behind them, shooting a portal behind people and having one on the wall beside you and just using it as like a window, baiting people, running through a portal and then having your second portal, like shooting it so that if they try and follow you through your portal, they come out in front of you and then shooting them. Like it's like super, like you have to rewrite your brain about how you're doing tactics. And I don't know what it is. I play most first person shooters and I can't, I'm not good at them anymore. I am eating them up on this one. Like just murdering people, like triple
Maybe you've just
kills.
got the spatial awareness to so my big problem with this game is that I had the opposite. I was on the other end of what you're talking about, of just like, okay, I can shoot portals, but like I'm an idiot, and so I was the one going through and like, oh, I got killed again. Oh, there was a portal here that someone was shooting through. Oh, wait, I was just constantly getting fucked over. But I haven't played it in a couple of years either, so like that's surprising that this game that they seem to be continuing to make a run of it. I mean, that's cool because like it feels like there was an era when everyone decided we want to make an arena shooter. Like we want to bring that back. And so a lot of small teams brought out a lot of free to play games and put them on Steam, and like no one played, or like very few people seemed to get into them. So it's kind of crazy so I downloaded a game called Sector's Edge.
Okay.
That is also I believe it is also free. And it is not a portal-based game. Yeah, it's a free-to-play first-person shooter, but it is a voxel-based game that came out late last year. And they bill it as like, it's kind of like a Battlefield game, but everything is destructible because it's all voxels. And also it's got a little bit of Fortnite building in it, so you can kind of pick up blocks as you go and then lay out prefab cover in front of you and kind of build structures and stuff like that. And I played through the tutorial of that, and then had a similar, there aren't portals, but it is building, and like the building is the building is kind of the thing that keeps me away from Fortnite in a lot of ways, because it's just like not that fun for me. But yeah, I tried getting into that, and it was like it was this combination. It reminded me of all that era of game, because it was like, there's like 9 people playing this game right now, and they're all on the same server, and I'll look at this later. But the tutorial seemed neat. But
Yeah, it's weird.
that's,
A lot of them came out, and maybe this one. It's hard to remember when I played it previously, but I wonder if the fact that it's leaning into more of the battle pass thing makes it feel more alive or something. Because like that was a problem with games like Unreal Tournament when they did their remake of it, right? And I loved it. I absolutely loved it, but it did feel a little bit like you were sort of going to, you know, the club that none of the kids go to anymore. You know, it's kind of like your favorite bar, but like it's not. You wish there was more people here. It's maybe not cool anymore. And there's been a couple, like Diabolical is pretty good on the Epic Game Store, but again, it didn't necessarily grab me. I think I want to give that another go. But for whatever reason, and maybe it was just because I had a bunch of good games, and then I've been playing it for a few days now. But it just feels good. Like the punchiness of the shooting feels good. The headshots feel good. Shooting at a distance on a sniper rifle is good fun. It's I don't know. It feels really good. I'm not sure about the style trappings around it. It's kind of grown on me a bit. It's kind of that futuristic, doesn't really look like anything.
It's like
your characters are all just.
You went to the laser tag place.
Yeah, it's a bit of that. Yeah, there's like neon everywhere for some reason, but the readability of the levels is super solid. Like maybe that's a big difference. It's really clear where the pads are.
Okay.
You know, there's lots of places for you to hold up and snipe, but there's also like when you do that, a lot of those places have those walls around you, so you got to be careful because you can shoot through the things as well. So, I think you can. Well, if you can't, you can look through them at least. The portals. So, you know, it's like having a separate window. You can be shooting here and have a wall and just keep checking. Or like I had set up ones where I was in a pinch point. There was only one way in there. So I set a portal up in the room outside and just had it there. So my peripheral, I could see if somebody was walking in to come in behind me, you know? Yeah. So I bet there's like all these really good strategies for it, but it feels fun. It's definitely worth checking out. It's free at the moment, so
yeah, that's cool. I'll give it another look. It's been a while since I checked it out, and yeah, I don't know. I found myself in a weird like I re-downloaded Quake Live and Quake Champions out of curiosity. I think the news that QuakeCon is coming soon again was like, Quake, what's up with that, huh? And then tried to find a match in Quake Champions and could not find anyone. At least in any of the. So I mean. To be fair, I unchecked some of the team modes because I was looking specifically for like a more of a free for all or three of the other weird modes that they had in there. And then in Quake Live, I found I think one other human player playing with bots. Jumped in there for a little bit.
I bet during QuakeCon you'll probably matchmake.
Yeah,
a lot of people doing it.
It's such a there's something about id under Bethesda continuing QuakeCon and then sending out a press release saying we've got exclusive shirts and it's for Deathloop and Doom, and I'm just like looking at it going like,
and also Microsoft is technically running this
right now. Yes, yeah, and I just keep looking at it and going like, it's fucking called QuakeCon. It's fucking called QuakeCon. Like just
I'm dying to go to QuakeCon because it's like it's still in like Dallas, right? It's still
it's still like, near Mesquite or somewhere like some hotel down there that they just
like it's kind of I like how they've the commitment to keeping QuakeCon has been, I think, pretty neat. Like it's still a bunch of dudes going to get their LAN, and they still like do a lot of like, you know, they show off games there and tell everyone turn your phones off, like this is just for you. And like they showed I think it was Doom Eternal and 2016, they showed like almost a full year before anyone else saw it. So there's something like that community, like like the fact that it's called QuakeCon is maybe the most stupid thing about it, like the most least relevant of all their IP probably,
which is sad. Like it's fucking Quake, powerful? Man, like it's totally. I mean, but and I think that it's just post Bethesda acquisition, it always got really weird to me that like they were showing off like Bethesda's, because of course they would, like they should, like I'm not saying like keep QuakeCon,
what else are they going to show?
Exactly, right? But like there was just something about like that aspect of it that was like this doesn't, and whatever. I've been to QuakeCon once, so like what the fuck do I know? But when I went, and to be fair, when I went, it was because Quake was coming to the Dreamcast, so like it was a pure interloper, like fucking like, yes, the console version of Quake 3, the definitive one, is coming out, so I've got to get down to QuakeCon and check it out. but like Sega was having an event there, so that was. And that was where I won my John Carmack signed Dreamcast. So, you know,
wow,
worth it.
really? Jeez. It's not quite a Ferrari, but it's pretty good.
It's not quite a Ferrari, but you know, that's what me and Thresh have in common is we've won some big stuff playing id games. No, that was I had to play Quake 3 for the Dreamcast with some big gaudy Mad Catz controller. It was like a big stick and then a ball that would kind of act like a mouse equivalent, and it was just this nightmare gigantic controller that no one had used before. So they had a tournament at QuakeCon on the Dreamcast version of Quake 3 with these fucking weird ass controllers before it came out on the Dreamcast. And Sega was there, and like I was there, and Sega PR was there, and we went to Papados and had catfish and all kinds of fucking weird shit. It was fun. But I won because I had played Quake on a console before, I think, and was just ready for it to be janky as fuck, and ended up winning the tournament there of like the small handful of people that bothered to enter a fucking. And so I ended up with a signed Dreamcast. Here's John Carmack signing a Dreamcast, which is like, I mean, nonsense then, but as the years have gone on, it's even fucking weirder.
That's a museum piece, just out of complete obscurity. Like, why?
Right. I took the top off that Dreamcast that is the autographed part and set it aside somewhere to try to keep it nice. But yeah, I don't know. Like, I love the idea of QuakeCon for all of those reasons. The same way, like DreamHack still felt like a real event. Right. You know, like it was like, oh, here's a bunch of people bringing their fucking weird ass computers to, and they're showy computers. They're like, this is where it all came from. All the RGB lighting that you can't get away from buying a computer. It all came from these fuckers wanting to have stunty looking PCs for LAN events. And
it's the regional gaming event. It's like the MagFests of this world, right? It's like the ones that are, because PAX has sort of spoiled us. PAX, those have turned into such
PAX
like
is a different thing.
PAX
is too big. PAX is too big. They bring their own. You don't have to bring your own. You still can, I think, but you don't have to bring your own computer to PAX.
No,
it's computers there.
It's the
stuff there.
It's the local, the flyover cons, you know what I mean? Like all that weirdness. That's the good stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
Splitgate, check it out. It's free to play.
Splitgate.
Maybe it's all the time free to play. I'm not quite sure, but go check it out. Battle Pass.
I want to say that it has been free this entire time, but I don't know what I mean, if they're doing a Battle Pass, presumably they'll want you to pay for something someday. Let's see here. Let's take a break here. We'll come back to the news real quick. I want to send a thanks out to Sam from Dubai, who sent some stuff a very long time ago. That, as we're kind of getting our hands on some mail and going through some stuff, some snacks from Dubai. Thank you very much to Sam. We'll take a break. We'll come back with them. They made it here from Dubai even. We'll take a break and we'll come back with some news. How about that?
Great.
Did you know there are only 2 FDA-approved medications that can prevent hair loss? You did know that. Okay, well, all right. Well, did you know this? Then Smarty Pants Keeps offers both. That's right. Keeps offers a simple, stress-free way to keep your hair with convenient virtual doctor consultations and medications delivered straight to your door every 3 months, so you don't have to leave your home. Treatments start at just $10 a month. Discreet packaging, proven results, more 5-star reviews than any of its competitors. So if you're ready to take action to prevent hair loss, go to keeps.com/bomb and you can receive your first month of treatment for free. That's keeps.com/bomb to get your first month free. keeps.com/bomb. Cats. People love cats. The internet is full of cats. Everywhere, you can't swing a cat in here without hitting a cat. That's just the way of the world. And cats can be a little bit choosy, in the food department, all sorts of departments, but especially the litter department. But hey, now there's Sweet Scoop. It's a renewable wheat-based litter that gives cat lovers a better choice for their pets, the family, and the environment. All right, what are we getting at here? This is the first renewable kitty litter. They're upping their commitment to sustainability by becoming plastic neutral in partnership with Plastic Bank. And Sweet Scoop is, it's meant to be different. They're gonna send some of this stuff out, and here's the we're gonna break it down. Wheat. It's got naturally occurring starches and enzymes that actively break things down. It's low dust, low tracking, and easy to dispose of. Dust, litter dust. No one likes to, these clay litters, you got like you're pouring it and it's just like dust, clay dust popping up in your face. Come on. Unlike clay litter, Sweet Scoop is 100% biodegradable. So what do you got? It's better for cats because it's got 100% natural ingredients. It's 99.5% dust free. Better for people because it's got odor neutralizing enzymes, enhanced clumping, and low tracking. It's not gonna track litter around the house. And it's better for the planet. It's not coming from strip mining like clay litter can. Sweet Scoop is made of renewable, farmer grown ingredients, and it's 100% biodegradable. Stuck between litter that works and litter that's pet and planet friendly, Sweet Scoop doesn't make you choose. Go to sweetscoop.com to get a $5 off coupon and find a retailer near you. That's SWHEAT scoop.com. Sweet Scoop. All right, we are back, and it's time for the news. It's time to punch deck with the Steamdeck.
Oh,
steamy.
Nice.
Yeah,
Nice.
it's
Hold
Dixie
my deck.
Flatline. I'm gonna get the Dixie Flatline version of the Steam Deck. It's gonna have a personality construct that's gonna call me y'all all the time. They're coming out with a portable computer
It's real.
over there at Valve. The Steam Pal is real, but it's not called the Steam Pal, which is probably for the best because that was just kind of a clumsy sounding name.
got attached.
Say it out loud. Steam Pal. It just doesn't. It doesn't.
Steamful.
Steample. The Steam.
Yeah,
Steam
it doesn't
Deck.
flow.
I like.
Doesn't flow. Yeah.
Yeah, and it lets them use they actually did use this on the site, and I appreciate it. Where they use the phrase "get your hands on deck."
Oh yeah, all aboard.
Oh well,
Yeah.
okay. It's a couple points for that
the
one,
poop
but
deck.
I think
Yeah.
I do think it is not a terrible name. I agree.
Hi ho,
I-
sailors.
yeah, and
It's time for
I-
gaming.
Yeah, I like as a fan of Neuromancer and other forms of cyberpunk stuff. I think the idea of a portable computer called a deck is great, and I want a version of this that I can plug into my damn head and then plug the other end into my pod at the cheap hotel that I'm staying at, and then I can hack things in that sector and like all that sort of stuff.
Neural
Flash
connection
port,
when.
though.
Yep.
You want that flash port, that existence goodness,
Yeah,
Oh.
exactly. Yeah,
That fleshy
we need that.
interface. Uh-huh.
So they're making a Switch, kind of, and and it's coming out December, and by December I mean Q1 or Q2 of next year. If you're a person trying to reserve one now,
Oh yeah.
they announced it, and then took reservations the next day, and Steam
And it went
broke. I mean,
smooth.
Steam doesn't stay up during a sale,
Yeah.
so it's not like it's going to stay up for them announcing hardware. So, pretty predictable reaction there. I hear a hiss.
Someone's gas is gone.
I hear a hiss.
Yeah, I think I
New
hear you
hiss.
now.
Me too. There it's gone.
The hiss is
Now it's
gone.
gone.
Okay, I know what it
The
is.
hiss is
I'll
gone.
fix that.
Okay.
Hot hiss. The
Let's
hiss.
see here.
A jar of
So
hot
it's
hiss.
it's a handheld computer that will run. So now you don't have to you don't have to have a jar to piss in anymore. You can take the computer with you to the bathroom. We're solving real world
Exactly.
problems here.
These are bullet
Playing Team Fortress Classic.
That's right.
on the Steam
Yes.
Deck.
On a controller, as it was meant to be played. Got Gosh, so this thing's got a 7-inch touchscreen on it that is meant to run at I guess like 1280 by 800 because for some reason it's a 16 by 10 screen. Did they get a deal on 16 by 10s? Like what was like
got all
what's
these screens laying around,
or did they just want to have a differentiator? Because I don't have a 16 by 10 monitor anymore. I did for years and years and years, and I love it. I love that extra space. So, but this is designed basically to be around a 720p style image. And it seems cool. This thing seems cool. I was happy to reserve one, even though I won't get it until Q1 of next year.
Yeah.
Yeah, I also reserved, I guess I was on the road, but I got it like, was it noon? Like maybe 4 p.m. or something. I got one. You have to pay $5 for the deposit. And it says, I think it says does it say Q1 on mine? Q1 2022?
Mine said Q2 for a while, and then it switched to 1.
Okay.
Oh.
You know what? I bet a
check
bunch
to
of
see if
people
I'm-
are going to pull those back as well, right? Because you're going to have people who put down the $5, but then maybe when it comes to it, might not actually get it.
Yeah, so
Q2
they'll
might
come
says
looking for
Q2.
they'll come looking for the rest of your money in December when they get ready to ship these things. So SteamOS has been a thing for a while. Obviously, Valve has tried to do Steam machines, and they've had a Linux push of varying degrees of success over the years. So this is kind of a renewed push for that. This thing runs Arch Linux and KDE Plasma by default, but it's a computer, so you can kind of install whatever you want on it. But their design is that they are going to do the work to ensure Linux compatibility by hook or by crook with as many games as possible through Proton, which is a translation layer that will allow Windows executables to run in a Linux environment that's kind of built for games. If you go look at ProtonDB right now, which is the site where people kind of report like, hey, this game runs great with this version of Proton. This game, like it's clunky, it's weird. You're like, the latest version of Proton, this game doesn't work with it. But if you go back a version, that works great. And so I think it'll be on Valve to find ways to eliminate that whole concept of like having to know anything other than hit the button marked go.
Yeah.
For this thing to be truly successful, because Proton is great, but it from as someone who's not used it, but looking at kind of what it can run and what it has done, Proton is great, but it's not all the way there yet. So it seems like Valve has its work cut out for it, especially when it comes to games that have anti-cheat stuff running in the background. That's something that traditionally Proton has not been great at. And so if they want this thing to be able to run more multiplayer games and that sort of stuff, they're going to need to figure that out. It sounds like that they are up for that work, though. And up for a lot of work around the edges here. They wanted this thing. Looking, IGN has some hands on. They kind of blew it out alongside the announcement. They want the Steamdeck to have a solid suspend mode, like a Switch would have. Like, hey, you're gonna freeze this thing and set it down, and then come back to your game later, and it's just going to be able to do that. That's the goal. The other thing they said,
they're saying like, we would like this to have that thing where it's
like, hey, this is something that's really important to us, and we tried to build a lot of our decision making around making sure that it could still do that, so we didn't lose sight of the power of a really good suspend mode. So which is probably the right way to think about it, because it's not like this is the first handheld PC, but like the prices are always crazy or the power is not enough. Like handheld PCs, like I've looked at them for years, but it's always been in a context of like, I wonder if this will run PlayStation 1 games really well. I'm going to get a GPD win and see what's up with it. And but it's never felt like a real thing, or it's never felt like something that would matter. This feels like Valve is taking it upon themselves to try to hit the right price range. The baseline model is $400. The high-end model is $650. And a decent level of power. They've got an AMD piece in here. They got 16 gigs of RAM. And it runs at 720p, which seems like a fairly attainable resolution for the type of hardware that they're talking about.
Right.
This seems cool. The other thing that they mentioned as an aspirational, it came off as aspirational to me, not necessarily a guarantee, but they want to be able to enable situations where you play a game on your Steam Deck and then return to your PC and pick up from where you left off, which I think makes a ton of sense. But then you think about the logistics of making that work across two PC devices, one which is running Linux and the other one being probably a Windows machine, and what that all entails and how they would make that work. That sounds fucking crazy to me.
Yeah, like an insane amount of developer help with that for sure.
Yeah.
And just,
But I think that would be pretty kick-ass if they can pull that off.
Totally.
It's that idea of getting one of these, and I mean they're not cheap. You know what I mean? Like the cheapest of the bunch is what, 400, but like the idea of getting one of these in your hands and suddenly having like the installed games like that just rush of, look at this library of stuff I can play on this.
Like all these games I have yet to play because I bought them in 9 different Steam sales, and also I think, you know, like that's kind of the other aspect of this is I think this has spurred a lot of conversation about like what is the Switch's lot in life as it relates to the Steam Deck and all this other stuff. You know, we talk about the Switch as being an amazing portable device for indie PC games.
Yeah.
But a lot of times that comes with caveats, right? Like, was it like Dead Cells didn't run great on a Switch? Like, you know, it's not, the Switch is not that the Steam Deck is some amazing powerhouse, but it seems like it will certainly outstrip the power of a Switch.
Yeah. And if you're buying it on PC, you know what I mean? Like if you're like a Hades comes out, right? And you're like, well, I already own that on Steam. Why would I buy it on Switch if I can get it over here?
We talked about it on UPF a little bit. Like that's going to cut into it, right? And the Switch has been the best indie PC game portable up until December. I mean,
we'll see, right? It's we'll see.
It's not much competition in that space, in fairness.
Right, exactly. And you know, there was this talk, all the stuff when people were complaining about the PlayStation Store and all the pie charts and graphs about how much money people are making on the eShop with their indie games and stuff. Like you start to realize, like, oh, like I guess Nintendo has really been a player in the indie space in a much bigger way. Like I'd kind of forgotten about that. That, you know, remember hearing the story. This is maybe back before Overwatch was out. Not that this is an Overwatch story, but it's like there's this, for whatever reason, the conversation in my head is similar. But like, it was a concept that like Nintendo was taking indie much more seriously this time around, and trying to forge relationships that maybe they hadn't in the past, and trying to get out of the way to make sure that smaller developers can deploy on their platform more easily. And it's paid off. You know, like those games seem to be doing quite well. Like the third-party story on the Switch is just so much different and more interesting and better than damn near any Nintendo platform since like the SNES or something, right? I mean, or N64 or somewhere. But like, it's been cool to see. But then you realize, like, oh, well, that's like a big deal for these devs. Will this cut into that? Will this make a Switch port somewhat less attractive if some of that audience moves over? I don't think it ends up mattering to Nintendo, because at the end of the day, when you go back to Japan, they're concerned with their first party stuff, and the third party stuff is like icing on the top, and they're like, oh, that's cool. Oh, wait, we sold it. What's a Hades? We sold it? That's awesome. Yeah. Great.
Those are like
anyway, Mario.
Like the big ones are the Animal Crossings and the Marios and the
and you're not,
Zeldas.
And overnight, you're not going to be able to just discount the installation base that Switch has, right? You're not just going to be like,
no, definitely not. You know, like they sold a buttload of those things. They're going to keep selling them. There's
gajillions of them out there in the wild. Here's the thing that I started to think about is like, think about the people who are still, for whatever reason, just not PC gamers, right? And they're just sort of like that world bewilders me, flummoxes me in a way that I am just not entering. And now there is this gadget that looks like you know what it is, and it is that possible gateway to PC gaming for a lot of people who never dabbled in that pond. So
Valve wants to treat updates and drivers and whatever else as like the same way a firmware update on a console would be handled, to try to push that stuff into the background as much as possible. But at the end of the day, this thing is still a PC under the hood, so they're also saying, hey, this thing's fully open. If you want to install Windows on it, go ahead. If you want to, and then that opens up scenarios where like, okay, so I can probably run a browser on this thing, so I could probably get into Xbox Game Pass streaming with this thing. I could probably install Windows and then install the Epic Store on this thing, and then I could probably play Fortnite on this thing. Tim Sweeney was out there in big support of this, talking about like, it's an open platform. We're fucking psyched. That's great. Valve's, that's great. They're doing it. Not that I don't know how many people buy one of these and then are gonna tinker with it enough to jump through the hoops of getting Fortnite running on it. I wonder if the more likely scenario is if this thing seems to sell as well. People seem excited about it. Does that inspire Epic to finally get together and do a Linux version of Fortnite?
Right.
Or to solve the Proton issues themselves for whatever anti-cheat they've got, to get that game running through there. Like that'll be interesting to see if this then leads to Epic just trying to kind of piggyback onto the device and saying like, oh, we've done a Linux version. Yeah, Proton. We're all about it. Here's our version of the store. Runs on Linux. Just install it off to the side. In fact, we're going to put the Epic Store in Steam. How about that? Or whatever. Like we'll see. So like I feel like that aspect of it's kind of crazy. It seems like pretty well priced. Again, like that's the story's been going around that there's quotes out of Gabe Newell saying like, hey, this price is kind of maybe a little painful for us. Right. So you wonder if they're taking a loss on it or if it's just kind of a break-even move to try to get some of that handheld market share. Like I don't know what the play is, but other than this probably leads to more people buying games on Steam if they can bring Steam with them in more places. Like that seems like the top line reason for this thing, but you end up in those kind of other scenarios of like, does this with all those indie games selling on the Switch, do you end up selling some of those to people that would buy this device too, and that ends up being better for Valve, or whatever, a billion different weird scenarios like that.
I mean, one scenario is I told like my best friend about this thing, and he's one of those people that's always been curious and wanting to get into PC games, but is PC illiterate. Told him about this. He placed a pre-order, and then he started buying games on Steam to eventually play this thing. So,
okay,
I mean, that's like one scenario of someone getting in the ecosystem and diving headfirst in it.
Wow. Yeah.
Certainly with the pre-buying of games. But sure.
That's pretty wild. But yeah, it's there's kind of, the other side of this is like that entry level device has 64 gigs of storage.
Yeah, jeez Louise. Why would you get that one? Yeah,
you can't fit a Doom Eternal into that space, right? Isn't that game?
That's half a Call of Duty, I think, or maybe a third of a Call of Duty.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, hey, that's all on BattleNet, so you'll have to jump through some hoops to do that anyway.
And you don't want to be loading that off your micro SD card. I'm just going to tell you right here and now.
Yeah, so we'll have micro SD expansion will be available for all models, but the top end model has 512 gigs of storage, and it is also an NVMe as opposed to the eMMC of the base model, which will be a little bit slower.
What's the SD card slot for then? Just expanded storage or
expanded
movies?
storage?
Yeah. The movies I'll put on it for the plane ride.
Oh yeah, just like my PSP, get my Pro Duo card in there.
Finally, this is the PSP 2. This is it.
Yeah.
I mean, sorry.
I mean, what are I don't know what's I don't think Sony were making any more inroads into the portable market, but with Death Stranding playable on this thing, a lot of Sony games are now going to be portable again. So probably put the nail on that coffin. Maybe.
It's crazy.
Yeah, and so that'll end up in there's a lot of work to be done around Steam to prepare for this scenario also, because it's like Steam has an offline mode. You can play Steam games when you're not connected to the internet, but it's not the easiest, it's not the process they want you to go through. They're really kind of pushing people into just like, you're connected to the internet because you're playing on a PC. Now you've got a situation where this thing's going to be hooked up to Wi-Fi, and then you might walk away from the internet, and those games need to keep working, and those games need to be playable in those scenarios, and they need to be able to reattach to a network later, which I guess that's an ideal scenario because like a lot of Xbox games can't do that if you drop internet in the middle of a session, it you're just going to kick you out. So I guess maybe that's a little starry-eyed on my part, but you need to at least account for those types of scenarios in a way that like Steam doesn't really have to do that much these days. And so I'm curious to see how they handle all of that stuff, because I think that'll be at least a little sticky.
Yeah, you'd hope that there's enough learnings out there because that's something the consoles obviously deal with. Because who knows? Like, probably, I bet it's like something crazy. Like 80% of people hook up their consoles to Wi-Fi. You know what I mean? That don't wire it. Probably more. Right. It's probably like 95% of people don't Ethernet their consoles. So there's got to be a lot of like that stuff. But I do wonder what they'll do. Yeah, will it be like a check-in system, or you authenticate when you log in, but if you're playing offline games, it doesn't bother you until the next time you start it up again? Like, I'm sure they'll have to create a special case for this thing in some respect.
Sure.
Yeah, and then individual games will have to be robust enough to be able to address kind of the other stuff, I guess. But we'll see how that goes. I mean, I'm curious to know, like, because they want the entire library to be playable. I think the realities of a layer like Proton means that that's maybe easier said than done, but what the fuck do I know on that stuff? So maybe they'll get that done. But
I just want to play Half-Life on a plane. That's it.
Yeah, like that. I guess that's the thing is like, what do you want to like? What's the ideal game for this? Because they've shown games like Control, Haze,
no,
Jedi Fallen Order.
That's not what's fun. What's fun about this is playing all the weird janky shit. It's playing all the stuff that you're like, this would never have come out on Steam. I want to play Ricochet. I want to play Half-Life 1. I want to play Half-Life 2. I want to play Half-Life Episode 1.
Okay.
Etc. I want to play Quake 3. I want to play Unreal Tournament. I want to play all my classic games that I own on Steam. Thief, just like old ass PC games, all up on that, like stuff like that. That's 100% where I am with this. I don't need the power. Like, if I want to play Doom Eternal, I'm going to play it on my PC. I'm not going to play it on the 720p screen.
I'm kind of with you on that.
Yeah. And so it makes sense for, I think, in a lot of ways, for the same class of games that you tend to see on the Switch, that we talk about when we talk about like, oh, this game's perfect on the Switch. It's people talking about Into the Breach and,
Slay the Spire.
Loop Hero would be great on the Switch. Slay the Spire, like Hades, like those sorts of games. Which we need a good moniker for that, because you used to be able to talk about them as downloadable games, like XBLA games or
indie games.
But you can't really talk about them as indie games because that indie studios are doing all kinds of stuff, and so that's not even an accurate. But the smaller, the lower spec games.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of just refer to them internally as like the medium games, but they're not medium in quality. I just sort of call them the
mom
medium
and pop
games.
game.
Yeah,
like lowercase
triple I games. Can we just get into?
There we go.
Like
that's good. I like
triple
that.
I is good.
Yeah. Triple I is not good. Triple I feel like is a few years old now. I don't know that.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, no, it's. I think it's primarily used on the business end of business, but yes, Triple I has been kicking around for a bit, and I despise it, but it also makes sense in that context. Anyway,
what about all like the weird software that's on Steam? Is there anything on there that's like fun to mess around with? Like,
is there a camera on this guy?
I don't believe.
Oh, that's a good question.
There's a gyro in it, isn't there?
Yeah, there is. Yes. There's a sensor for movement. It's got 2 trackpads on it that they're saying has significantly lower latency than the trackpads on the Steam controller. Remember that thing?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Is there on both sides?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes. Trackpads on both sides, and there's the analog sticks are capacitive touch.
Oh,
the tops of them?
I don't know. That's just a spec on their. I haven't seen any use case or anything. It just says 2 full-size analog sticks with capacitive touch, which I wonder if that's just the same stuff, because the VR controllers have that, right? They know if your thumb is resting on them, and they can adjust your hand model. Like they're sensing some kind of hand movement around the controller. And so I wonder if it's something like that where there's going to know that your thumb is on the stick.
That sounds neat, but I don't. I can't visualize a use case for it. But it is undeniably neat sounding.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I'm with you on that. Like that sounds cool. I don't know what anyone would ever use it for, but that's cool. It's like we're gonna run wallpaper engine on it. Face rig on the Steam Deck. Why not? It's got USB ports on it, so you could probably plug in a camera, like they're saying, plug in a mouse and keyboard, plug in.
Oh, they are
USB to Ethernet if you want that. Like they're kind of saying. Like they showed an image of like it's like their version of the rooftop party. They showed a Steam Deck setup with 2 fight sticks hooked up to it.
That could be cool.
And you're like, the fight sticks are bigger than the fucking Steam Deck. What are we doing? I don't know. So yes, at the end of the day, it's a PC. You can plug stuff into it, so that will get you your webcams and such. What I want, again, going back to punching deck, going back to cyberspace, this Rev is not going to be able to do it, probably. Well, but when we get down the line a little bit, and you can just plug a VR headset into this thing, that'd be fucking weird.
Yeah.
That's my whole
porno,
thing. That'd be
go.
fucking weird. Like, it's not like that's going to be an amazing experience. It's like, no, that'd be a fucking crazy thing to do. I hope someone does that because that'll be a crazy thing to do.
In the way that it's just this portable VR thing, is what you're saying?
Yeah. Like like you are workshopping your way into an Oculus Quest or something, where you've hooked a Vive up to a Steam Deck and then taped that to your body, and you're playing Half-Life Alyx in an airport somewhere.
Oh my god, the dream. How many ports? How many USB ports does it have? Is it just one, or you can expand? I saw there's a C on top, which I'm guessing.
Yes, there's a C on top, and I know that but I don't know if there's more.
It's got
it has.
Yeah, it looks like just the C. No, that can't be right.
I think it is, dude. I just did a Control F of USB, and I think it's just the one.
Yeah, external connectivity, USB-C with DisplayPort.
It's got like a breakout thing, though, right?
So they're going to sell a dock separately.
Yeah, that's what
Steam Deck dock.
Yeah, the Steam Deck dock. And then that will... So this thing is meant to run at 720p on this screen, but they're saying external connectivity through that USB port, you can get up to 8K 60 or 4K 120. That doesn't seem like a reasonable thing for the power inside this device for any games, but I guess you could do it. So, sure.
This is awesome. I spend a lot of time on the road. I usually have my Switch. That's my Switch time. I barely play Switch at home because it's just my on the road one. If I can play... there has been many times, because I'm going home to Ireland like in August, and I'm always thinking, should I just get like a gaming laptop, or like, because I miss playing PC games. If I can like boot up Age of Empires or Valheim or something like that, I'm into it.
Yeah, and that would enable scenarios also where if you just want to use a mouse and keyboard for a game that is never going to play right on a controller. You can do that too. So yeah. I think it's got a ton of potential, and I'm into it. But also, like, I'm a person who never plays the Switch because I'm never in a situation where I need a portable. And so there's a part of me that's like, I'm ordering this, and I think it's awesome in some ways, or sounds like it's got a ton of potential. But will I actually get a ton of use out of this? I'm just not sure.
You should hack Pokemon Go on it.
Oh,
yeah,
that's
going to
be
have multiple accounts on this bad boy.
Exactly. I'm going to have
and
3 different windows running 3
screen.
different instances, hooked to 3 different VPNs, running 3. Actually, I'm just going to install a PS4 emulator on it and then get some FIFA Ultimate Team cards. That's my goal.
Jeff,
I was thinking about using this thing and imagining a scenario where I play the portable gaming stuff. It's also say I put Windows whatever on it and then dock it and then use it as like a PC with the mouse and key, like, but then I feel like it's like, okay, but where's my laptop and all this? Like, did I go from having this as a portable gaming thing that happens to have Windows on it, but then when I finally arrive at the place that I'm at, now I have a PC, and what if I needed that on the go as well? It just seems like I don't know. It's a oddly shaped puzzle piece.
I feel vindicated after years of having MacBook Pros. I feel vindicated all of a sudden. I'm like, yay! I can finally play PC games on the go.
Yeah, I think that's as someone who's been all Mac laptops since this site started, I never bought any of those for games. So there was never like I've never had any desire to have a gaming laptop. It was always like, get me like a small laptop that is going to be fast enough to do the stuff I need to do, some light audio editing, all that other stuff. And I'm never considering that a gaming machine, because gaming laptops are a disaster. I don't know. I think that's it's a mind fuck, because like this is still a PC. It's still going to eventually be out of date. Like those parts will age. It will eventually be obsolete. But like, I don't think about it, because I'm thinking about that as like, it's a console. They'll just make another one. Whereas with a laptop, I'm like, when you buy a laptop, you really can't upgrade it the way you want to. Like you can't a desktop PC. So why would I ever buy a big, bulky, fucked up gaming laptop? Those are garbage. Those are for idiots and dunces, rubes.
It's burning my knees.
Yeah, exactly. My skin is melting off of my body onto this device. It is also, I now have 3 more humps in my back from carrying it around, because it is 45 pounds. And the fans on it drown out any game audio. Like, I cannot play this thing anywhere because the fans spin up and people just look at me like I'm the asshole, because you know what? I am the asshole.
And then it's not as powerful unless you plug it in.
Exactly. And then it's like, oh, I got my head. Yeah. When I pull it out, like, let me get my external GPU and plug that in too. Okay. All right. We're gonna.
Yeah. There's complete fuckery in that space for sure.
Are they still a thing? Was the external GPU was that a flash in the pan, or is it still around?
The mobile GPUs.
Do you remember the decks used to get? You put your PC or laptop into a dock, and it would make it better. And it's like, what are we doing, guys? What are we doing here?
I do believe the mobile
dump truck and hook it up, and that's the left leg, and then we're going to take the cement truck and then plug it in here, and that's the right leg, and then
I can't like wholeheartedly recommend anything like that, but like the mobile GPUs have gotten way more efficient and way better, and you can get a pretty high end gaming laptop. I kind of shriek when I cringe when I say that, but you can get, they're thin. They're under an inch now. Like they are thin as fuck.
Yeah,
and,
I'm kind of fucking around, but you know,
but you're right, yes, because there was an era of like 2010 to 2015 where they had that same thick ass body type where it was like thin at the edge, and then it got increasingly larger like a fucking trapper keeper, and the back of it was so, oh my gosh, the thing, and you're right, the hot air that would spill out of this thing. But now they're definitely better now. But yeah, that whole space is still kind of a mess.
Yeah, it's not something I just, it's as someone who generally wants a laptop because I need to work on it, I don't want to have to carry that much computer around.
Hey, Jeff.
Like
Jeff,
I would
Jeff.
almost, yeah.
Hey, you want to, you think the Steam Deck can run Adobe Premiere? Probably.
Not well,
right?
but yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you want to render some videos on the road here. How many CUDA cores does that thing have? Yeah, man. Fucking.
You don't want to do that. I'll tell you right now.
You don't. But what? It's got 16 gigs of RAM. I mean, that's a decent.
Yeah, that's the best spec in my opinion.
It's a shared pool, I think, right? With the GPU eats into some of that, doesn't it? But it's whatever. That's a decent. That's a decent number. I don't know, but I feel like I would be more likely to go the other direction for work laptop stuff, where I'm on the edge where if like I could almost get away with using an iPad.
Yeah.
For most since I'm traditionally not doing like media editing work on the road on a laptop, like that sort of stuff. Like I'm almost there, but I do just enough of exactly that to where it's like an iPad is just too fucked up for that, and I'm so used to using computers that I would probably still go that route. But
even the PC laptop space is sort of edged that way, right, Bacalar? Like it's kind of like the Microsoft Surfaces of this world and stuff. Like kind of, there's been a lot more people Like that market has opened up. I need something portable, but I don't quite need a laptop or one that does kind of both.
I don't know how popular that stuff is, though.
Yeah.
The funny thing about the laptop sort of space right now is like they're all really good. Like unless you are doing the high end video and audio editing, like they're all great. It's really finding the right sort of combination and price and size. It's kind of like how you feel, like how big do you want it? What do you want the keyboard to look like? It's like you're gonna get a good machine. It's more about the aesthetics now and that kind of personality.
Yeah. That's what. It's exciting to the Steam Deck, if nothing else, is exciting because I think it's weird and I want to see what it does to the space overall when it comes to like portable computing, but also like what does it do to console stuff? What does it do to Nintendo? Probably nothing is my guess, but yeah.
How does it kill Nintendo?
Yeah, like those stories are just like, come the fuck on. Like that's ridiculous. Like it's not like it probably still doesn't run Animal Crossing. I mean, maybe it will, honestly, but not legally.
I'm sure there's like 20 different there's like
oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
Safari Crossing or
yeah, but like you can kind of play Switch games on a PC, and so you could backdoor your way into some really nefarious shit with this thing. I just don't know how well it'll do it. Like it's. Emulation is typically a thing that wants as much power as possible to do its business. And so, this might not be enough.
Can't wait to play Final Fantasy 15 finally on this little screen.
The way it was meant to be played. Yeah. This Tom Clancy. You heard of this guy?
Yeah, his posthumous work is really impressive.
Yeah, he's like Tupac over there. He's continuing to put out material after his passing. The latest of which was formally announced this week. Tom Clancy's XDefiant.
XDev.
That's all one word, letter X.
Sony XDev. Tom Clancy's
XDev.
Sony XDev.
Yeah, Tom Clancy's XDev is working on. They're helping out studios around the world to get their dreams. It's a bad name. So XDev it is capital X, capital D, and Defiant. It's just all one word. I thought for a minute, is this called Cross Defiant or X Defiant? And then I'd watch the trailer to find out. So they win.
They changed it from Battlecat.
So Battlecat was like the code name of the project. It wasn't necessarily something they were gonna.
That's a good name.
Should have just used the Battlecat. Because
He-Man is going to show up knocking on your door saying, like, give me my cut. And I don't mean a haircut, even though I drastically need one. Look at this fucking nightmare of hair I've got on goddamn He-Man. But yes, this is the game that leaked a couple of months ago as Project Battlecat or whatever that was. They put out a trailer. This is a shooter. This is an arena style shooter. Looks like a team deathmatch-ish sort of thing or team game with different character classes. It is, the trailer bills it. This is a quote from, I believe, the creative director that, like, I think this game looks all right, but this line, it's fast-paced firefights meets punk rock mosh pit. And I was like,
oh no.
What? Like, fuck it. And like in the trailer, there's the Tom Clancy logo, and then it's like they spray paint a spike mohawk on it, and you're like, what the fuck are you doing? Because the rest of it is just like, we're dudes with guns, and I got a flamethrower. Like, at no point do they give the punk rock aesthetic or look. It's not like dude in a fucking jean vest with a bunch of pins and patches on it shooting people. It's not fucking Sunset Overdrive meets Tom Clancy, or it's like. It's not punk. It just does not, like, punk rock mosh pit is like, it seems like the opposite of what this game looks like when they start showing it in motion.
You can't do that to a Tom Clancy thing.
You can't do that. You cannot have a commercial product that says it's punk rock. It is instantly antithetical to what punk rock. Like, I know punk rock is miles from what it ever started out as, but like that, first of all, you can't do that. And then also the Tom Clancy's, it just feels like
you can't call a shooty game a mosh pit either. Even though I guess Call of Duty has a mosh pit mode, but anyway, that's not what I mean. It's just like you can, like Tom Clancy's like it's like a high stakes espionage and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's
and,
like here's fucking Harrison Ford giving you, here's like fucking Jack Ryan, like here's all the like
he never went to the Warped Tour.
Square-jawed white dudes giving orders about you to go murder people. Like that's Tom Clancy. That's not punk fucking rock. Come on.
You did this to the wrong thing. Like, right? Like you made the. I'm not.
I don't
I'm not
think
trying to
any
be
of
like
that
a
matters.
punk rock gatekeeping kind of dude, but this just feels like you smashed together things that didn't want to be smashed together.
It just
punk rock
doesn't
is just
like
an aesthetic, right? To this generation of kids, what does punk rock mean? It means it's a specific aesthetic. It's what does Tom Clancy mean to these people? They never watched
So then why
Harrison
the fuck do you
Ford
keep
movies
the name?
or played Rainbow Six because
it
it means shooter, right? It's shorthand for this.
Right.
These are our shooter games, right?
Yeah, but I guess like the thing I'd say is like I don't think that they have attracted a punk rock aesthetic to it either. Other than them spray painting that thing on the logo as if to try to say like, man, this ain't your fucking dad's Tom Clancy.
Is there
like
a
that's how it
concept
comes
page
across.
for that stuff? Because I also feel like that is one of the most played out aesthetics in video games of the past 15 years is the idea of like, what was the Codemaster? It was the Dirt games, right? Were they the first to do that whole, and like, it's just like become the sort of bright aesthetic. This game does look neat. I think I'm particularly cautious of the fact when that is applied and like terms like mosh pit, which are like, sort of, have nothing to do with warfare being applied to games where you were shooting people. Like,
the ultimate punk rock.
Yeah. The establishment. Anyway, I work for the government and now I'm shooting people with drones. It's Rhythm Tiggins has the aesthetic down here, or in chat he says it'll have a Machine Gun Kelly track on the soundtrack, I bet. Yeah. There you go. There you go. Right. So whatever, that aspect aside, because I think that's the way they chose to reveal this and like trying to frame it that way, I think does it a disservice, because at the end of the day, it's factions that they have pulled from across the Clancyverse, outcasts and various operator types and basically dudes in gas masks, various dudes in gas masks coming together to shoot each other. And it is class based with abilities. They are trying to get out there and say like this is a game much like Valorant did. They're trying to say this is a game where the emphasis is on the gunplay and the abilities are in support of that. It's not some skill free just pop your abilities whatever kind of game. I think is the distinction they are attempting to make there. It looks like it has a pretty low time to kill, maybe not quite Call of Duty, but not. So when I think Clance, when I think about my boy T. Clance, I think about unloading 3/4 of a magazine into someone just to take their armor down, and then going through the long reload process, and then shooting them some more before they drop. And this doesn't seem like that. Mark Rubin is in the video. He's the EP on it. He was at Infinity Ward for a good long time, working on Call of Duty. For whatever that's worth. And I don't know, like as far as like the abilities are things like, hey, the outcasts can be healers and this class can be tanks. Like, they're trying to go like they show a tank looking guy with a big shield bubble around him to try to, protect him and whoever is in his sphere there. So, they're trying to go, maybe a little Overwatch in that direction, maybe a little Valorant in that direction. But at the end of the day, like this still strikes me as a game that'll have respawns. It doesn't seem like a round based. It doesn't seem like a Counter-Strike-ish sort of thing. It seems like they are.
And they have to be careful, right? Because they have Siege, so they can't really rub up against that stuff too much.
Exactly. Like they've already got that covered. Like Siege is doing fine with that style of game, and so this has to skew much further in that direction of like. And they say like, hey, we want this game to be like fun and like it can be relatively casual, but also we want to take it seriously enough to where you can esports it up, which is what everyone says about every game, because they're trying to make money and they need to appeal to everyone, not just esports people, and not just get, it needs to have legs. So you need that esports story, but it needs to be like friendly enough for anyone to play it. And so everyone's trying to toe that line. And I feel like most people completely fuck it up. They are running a test starting August 5th with a version of the game. This is a weird announce, because like the announcement video is the creative director and the executive producer talking about, we're working on this thing, we're really excited about it, but we can't make it without you. And again, that's the thing that everyone says, but like they're very much trying to push this, like, we want to make sure you like this, and we want to make the game you want to play, and this is a free-to-play thing, but we want to make sure it's good, and so we're going to be working with you every step of the way, and blah 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 blah, which everyone says, but they lay it on thicker than a lot of games do here in a way that I don't know if they're trying to do something different with that transparency or whatever, or if they, is this something that they looked at how Hyperscape went for them, and they're like, okay, we've now put out a pretty bad free to play shooter, or not this bad. Like Hyperscape was dull at most. Like it's not terrible.
I mean, you could argue that Ubisoft have never had a successful launch to any of these games. The narrative around their stuff is very much we're sticking through it, and we're going to keep the people who stayed with us, and we're going to turn this ship around. And by God, they have done it multiple times now, and it's super, super impressive. And they seem to have big communities for a lot of these games, even games like The Crew, which we didn't necessarily think were people playing them. So but they've never stuck the landing on that. It doesn't necessarily see. So I wonder if that's what they're trying to do this time around, just to
it's
always
always
they're trying to get that stuff out of the way early,
in.
right? If they can learn those lessons with a subsection of the audience by doing a lot of tests and betas and stuff like that, then maybe they get to the point where they launch it and it works out okay. I don't know. Like I think the gunplay that they've shown looks all right. Like I have an interest in this that I don't have in Siege, I guess I would say. So that probably works out, and an interest in this that I don't necessarily have in Quarantine or what. Extraction, what it's called now.
Yeah, anything compared to Zero is bigger. But I think the thing with this is you make that time, that soft launch time, as short as possible, right? Like you make that as as time. Like you don't want to front load, like Danny, like you said, where all these games are coming out, and it's like, oh damn, they have to turn things around. They do it eventually, but if you can get that time in the beginning to be shorter, perhaps,
or longer, honestly, I think if expectation management for a lot of this stuff can be the game that's in beta for 2 years, or the game that's in early access, and
if they present it as we're building it with you, then that gives them the story to say oh yeah, it's a beta for a year and a half or whatever, it's early access, or hey, we're doing this stuff and we're not launching season 1 until we're ready, even though we've had 9 pre-release seasons, whatever you want to call it.
Because player expectation is tempered just because it has early access written on it. And also, I think community, you get that passion, right? Because people feel like they're in before everyone else is in, even if maybe that's not even the case. So it's I do wonder, though, because this stuff, people are smart, right? And they're figuring out some of this.
And people have been burned. This is, I feel like the playbook you're rolling out is pretty common for a lot of these games, but I feel like more and more people are sniffing that stuff out and being like, no, I'm not going to waste my time with this. Especially, we live in a world where there are however many dozens of free-to-play shooters, even just straight up shooters that people could be playing. And so that's, for as competitive as that space was when we were only talking about Call of Duty and Battlefield, think about it now. You take the Battle Royale games and you put them in there. You just, in terms of just time spent, there's only 24 hours in a day. Is XDefiant going to be good enough to earn 1 to 2 of those, even from other Ubisoft games, even from Heartland when that comes along, or Siege? Is it going to be good enough to crack into those players? Let alone the people that are out there playing Apex, the people that are out there playing Fortnite. Not that it's a 1-to-1. This is a team-based game. It's not a battle royale. But at the end of the day, these are shooters. There's a lot of people that are playing a lot of shooters right now. But I think this looks all right. I think the thing I will say is, looking at it, I want to know more about this game, and that's. So they've achieved that for whatever that's worth.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, for me, when I look at the way it was presented to me, there are some things that possibly could be good, even though they make you feel like doo-doo poopy. It's they sometimes order something that's not very appetizing, and then when you finally taste it, you're like, oh, you know what? This does look like shit, but like it's good. I like it.
Dude, you may be describing my experience with most modern Ubisoft titles. I don't know what it is. It's something about the aesthetic. Yeah, the aesthetic of those games, the way the menus work, the sluggishness, the art direction. Obviously, this is different studios in different places, but like there are games that I am constantly aesthetically turned away from because they're either too detailed or their art direction is too directionless. Like it's so bland or trying to get so many people to play it that it doesn't say anything. But then when I play those games systemically or systems wise, they're really interesting. But I'm constantly coming up to these games. I'm like, where's the passion? I think is where I come from. I don't know what it is. There's nothing about the look. You know, you play games because they look really interesting, and sometimes maybe you play it and there's actually not that much substance to it. For Ubisoft games, I have the entire opposite relationship where I'm like, I am this looks like a piece of software to me, and then when I play them I'm like, oh, there's actually a lot of mechanically interesting things here. I'll play it in spite of itself or something. It's but this is a very personal reaction.
I get that. I think my version of that is when we get into the when a free-to-play game or like a free-to-play shooter like this takes off, or it doesn't have to be a shooter per se, but when a game like this gets an audience and they're like, okay, we've got this free-to-play game and now we need to monetize, now we need to find new ways to get people to pay for stuff, and even Call of Duty does this. It's not a free game, but like the trend line of even a game that is going to start as like grim, serious military, like we are boots on the ground soldier. We are fucking shit up out here. We are launching missiles at the bad guys. I am going to fucking shoot everybody in the goddamn head. Anyway, what if you could play as Rambo with a weed gun? and just the, as they have to try to get more money out of players, like it has to be more and more personalized, more and more, and it has to skew towards weird and showy. Like people want they want to stunt. They want their fucking weird skins to be weird skins. And so every single game, no matter how serious they start, eventually trends towards completely ridiculous because they're like, well, we need pink neon tracers in this thing, and we need this, and we gotta, we need more exposed midriff on this one because we want her to look sexy, boys. Yeah. And we want the guns to look sexy. I want to fuck these guns. And so every game has to head in that direction because that's just what players want. And so you end up in this situation where like all these games eventually just look the same because they all just look like fucking someone fucking threw up social media bullshit all over all of them. There's like, what's the fucking hot? This is the gun that's got the rainbow cat on it. We're just like, I'm fucking meme puke all over this because that's how we make money now. And it just kind of sucks.
Yeah,
I get why it happens.
They're all circling the monoculture drain, and they're just getting closer and closer to it. That's why I like games like Valhalla. I like because it's like, oh yeah, well obviously we're not going to put like punk rock in this, so I'm safe. This is a safe game for me to play.
But it's also not a competitive game. I feel like it's something that is almost exclusive to competitive games, and like you see it. Obviously like Dota has gone skin crazy. League of Legends is of course skin fucking city.
Yeah. Well, what's that? Is that an MMO?
Yeah.
So
it's an MMO. You'd really like it. You'd really like it. If you like systems, you'd love League of Legends.
Can I copy my Second Life character over?
That's we're working on that. You're gonna have to employ the blockchain to make that happen, but we're working on
Easy.
it. And so I don't know. Nothing can be serious anymore. Nothing's allowed to be serious anymore. And no one is allowed to take anything seriously anymore when it comes to like a competitive game because they all eventually head in this direction. Like
got to coin the law.
Everything. Space Jam 2 is not the start of something. Is my point here, right? It is the midline of something. It is the midline of like we put Ryu in Fortnite. And everyone's psyched because they're like, that's fine. I'm looking at it like, that's fucking cool. I'm not going to buy that shit because I don't play Fortnite. It's fine. But everything is in everything. And I like it when games have a unique visual identity And we're already talking about Tom Clancy here, which is already such different shades of military man, just like different. This one's got a different gas mask license than the other one. So this one's got a bit of a round one. This one's more of a hex style gas mask, and so just everything just fucking.
It's definitely that Ready Player One, like, kerfuckle, of just like.
Yeah. And totally, like, why shouldn't it's what the people want. Like, someone said in the chat when I was talking shit about Space Jam earlier, it's what the fucking people want. They want, like, let me play as Call of Duty but Batman. I like Batman. I want to express myself, and I only know how to do that through other people's IP. So if you'll let me spend money so I could be Rick and or Morty in this game, I will give you upwards of $20 to $25 to do so, because that's me, baby.
And when you think you're the one that's not represented, and they're like, I hate this monoculture, and then they'll put John McClane in Call of Duty, or I was playing Rocket League, and they put Formula One cars in, and I was like, you got me.
Yeah,
you got me.
They get you. It's
Steam Workshop,
but,
Planet Earth,
and that's why Tower Unite is so beautiful, because that's all fucking bootleg, baby.
Yeah.
That's all fucking.
It's always been this way. You're right. Dr. Dre and Quake 3.
Dr. Dre and Quake 3 was official. The record label put that out.
Oh, you're right.
It's
okay,
Batman and Quake 2 is the real shit. It's
it's the fucking Flintstones meeting the Jetsons. That is
Porn Doom. When they put animated GIFs of people getting it on the walls in Doom, that was real.
Wait a second.
That was passion. They weren't selling that. Something. You didn't go buy Porn Doom. If you did, you got ripped off, just like the file that came with it said.
Is this all Mugen's fault?
Yes.
Oh, good point.
The original metaverse.
SaltyBet has a lot to answer for.
It's true. It's
Is Tom Clancy in SaltyBet?
Is there a Tom Clancy Mugen character? Can I play as Ding Chavez in there? Can I?
Probably.
Probably. I don't know. The world is weird now, and maybe it always was. And I don't like. Sometimes it is still good, and so. But like, man, this stuff is. It's still also kind of depressing, and
I think you are describing a different thing though when you talk about like how all these games wind up looking the same. There is like a certain rainbow aura of
there's just a certain amount of just like when you need to hit your marks, you need your weed reference gun, you need your weed reference skins, you need your neon pink unicorn, you need your anime shit, you need your whatever else, and so they all go down that road because the numbers say that's what people want, and so, people buy that shit. So if people didn't buy it, they wouldn't make it, right? They would have stopped by now.
Projected out 10 years, okay? Because what you're talking about is true, that like it's a reference gun, or it's an anime reference gun. Do you think Call of Duty in like 5-10 years just like straight up allows you to like be Hatsune Miku or something? Like do they just take the mask off and say, okay, now you can shoot with a gun that is a weed plant? Like when do they just like completely lose all like like whatever one hand they still have on reality?
I think that's there would be some resistance to that now, right? If you were just like literally holding a fucking tree and shooting weed tracers, that would probably be over the line right now, right? But like,
what if you could have, but like in 5 years' time, like maybe that's normalized. Maybe we have like a gun in Call of Duty that shoots COVID vaccines, and people are like, no, I don't want that gun, or I do want that gun. We politicize everything and just make people.
You're just voting with your bullets. That's how I play Call of Duty. I vote with my bullets. But like if they said, hey, Hatsune Miku is available for Call of Duty right now, I would fucking buy it. I haven't played Call of Duty since the 3 minutes I played it to buy and look at the fucking John McClane skin, which was a dumb purchase. So I would definitely fucking give them whatever dumb money they would want for fucking Hatsune Miku, because I'm a goddamn idiot. As someone points out, I was going to say, like, the Phantasy Star Online games actually, I think there is Hatsune Miku in that game. There has been in the past. So, I mean, because that's all Sega, that's all kind of related.
Right.
You can kind of go down that sick rabbit hole there if you need it, but it's not the same. Yeah, hey, monetize everything, monetize teens, and let's see. Yeah, and the game looks all right. And I will play XDefiant when I can. Like that's the other part of this is like I don't think any of that is represented in that game, and I think them, or at least what they showed. Maybe there's a skin store that they haven't showed, but like the idea of that game having a punk rock aesthetic or anything going for it other than look at me, I'm the grim man in the city with the gas mask who's here to shoot you. Like that's what that game looks like to me. Is it looks like here's some models we ripped out of the Division for you to use. Right. Like that's what that game looks like to me now. So, but by the end of it,
it's good to see Ubisoft finally getting its shooters.
Yeah, it's about time. This Tom Clancy guy, they're gonna have a hit with him one of these days. Nintendo has refuted Bloomberg's report on the profitability of the Switch OLED. Some people were kind of circling around some of the parts upgrades in the new Switch, which, by the way, hey, that Switch OLED went up for pre-order the same day the Steamdeck came out, and I saw, and I don't hear much, I'm here alone. I saw 0 people talking about Switch OLED pre-orders being opened up that day.
I had no idea.
Since then, I've seen people posting pictures of their pre-orders and stuff like that. But if you want to talk about a news cycle stolen, it is probably the Steam Deck getting revealed the same day that the Switch pre-orders went on sale.
For sure.
That's so Bloomberg has been out there reporting quite a bit about upcoming Switch models, obviously. And so profit margin on the Switch, they said that hey, they're changing out the screen, they're doing a few things here and there. That seems like it's only adding about $10 in cost, yet they're charging $50 more for it. What gives? And so the speculation was like, well, they're looking to make more money on this thing. And so you've had a lot of people trying to do teardowns of a device that doesn't exist yet, which is always fun. But Nintendo got out and tweeted about this. They were like, "No, fuck you." They're just like, they don't do this. It's not something that you see out of them very often. A 2-part tweet in English out of the official Nintendo, the NCL account, not even NOA, saying a news report on July 15th in Japan Standard Time claimed that the profit margin of the Nintendo Switch OLED model would increase compared to the Nintendo Switch. To ensure correct understanding among our investors and customers, we want to make clear that the claim is incorrect. We also want to clarify that we just announced that Nintendo Switch OLED model will launch in October 2021 and have no plans for launching any other model at this time. So
the fact that they said investor first, do you think that this was raising alarm bells somewhere about something?
Or that investors were getting overly psyched and they were like, oh man, they're going to milk money out of this thing. We got to get in. And they were like, that's going to lead to a crash later on when they find out that that's not true. So it's that's just transparency around what they're doing to kind of correct this report. But I don't know.
Did the original report reach out for comment?
That's a good question. I don't actually know in this case, because I feel like this original report out of Bloomberg happened, but a lot of people have been trying to do this work of working backwards and trying to figure out okay, why is this thing going up $50 if what they're doing is increased storage, OLED screen, like this is stuff that shouldn't necessarily lead to a $50 increase.
Right.
And I don't know what else is going on out there, but I have seen some folks who pre-ordered at Walmart get their pre-order price cut to $300 from $350.
Oh.
Whoa.
Citing competitive, there was a competitive price match. We've lowered your pre-order to $50 below the asking price, which I don't know what the hell is going on there.
For a new piece of hardware.
Yeah, if that's just a mistake on Walmart's part, and maybe that will change back, or what the heck. But that was an interesting little twist in the middle of all this stuff. We're wait, are they going to cut the price before it even comes out to combat this? No. The second part of this, where they say we have no plans for launching any other model at this time, is like the most empty statement in the world. Like, of course they don't,
Yeah.
except that they do. Except for that they do. How firm those plans are, it's like, will Nintendo launch new hardware ever again? If you asked them that and they gave you the honest answer, the answer would be yes. That to me counts as plans, not firm plans, not well-defined plans. But that's just the wiggle room that they need to be able to say, we have no plans for launching anything else.
Right.
Which is basically them saying like, hey, there's no Switch Pro, get fucked.
Nothing to see here.
But like, that's, that's nothing. That's a meaningless statement out of any, that's not Nintendo or, or whatever, that any company saying that is being ridiculous. They should just say, like, hey, we have no, I don't know what you actually say in that situation to kind of say,
Nothing.
hey, we're not launching a Switch Pro. Yeah, you say nothing. But if you have to address investors because you've got people jumping on board that have high expectations of what you're doing with the Switch in the future, then maybe you do have to kind of get out there and say something. Let's see. Let's burn through the rest of this stuff. Remember the Ukrainian warehouse full of PS4s that people were speculating was being done to mine crypto, and we were like, that doesn't seem like a great way to mine crypto on a bunch of PS4s.
Right.
Oh, this is a Kotaku report, and a few other people have picked up this report as well, from a Ukrainian site called Delo, that these machines, the likely use of them was that they were being used to farm FIFA Ultimate Team cards.
What?
Awesome.
The original cryptocurrency.
What?
3,800
does that even
PS4s.
work?
So, let's see here.
Are they people
way less
remoting
interesting.
into them?
So how this would probably work is you would probably, and there were some PCs on site as well. So I'm trying to think how this would work, but I guess you would program a PC to plug into the front of a PS4 like it was a controller.
Okay.
Or you'd just have them on a network, and maybe you're using remote play, the kind of the standard Sony remote play stuff. It could be that you are paying an army of people pennies on the dollar to just get in there remotely and mine that, or mine to play FIFA to get the cards. Like maybe it is a human operation, or maybe you have figured out a way to automate that end of it too. So you've got the PCs just going through the motions with some loose machine learning, looking at a feed of the screen. There are probably a few different ways to tackle that. This is just dark.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's somehow darker than the crypto story. It's somehow worse.
This is way worse. Like this is one of those things that causes me to reflect on all of the loot box stuff that came over the last handful of years in Battlefront. When Battlefront came along and they pulled that, and you had all the threat of regulation, and in Belgium they did eventually ban FIFA Ultimate Team. I look at this and like, okay, if part of your video game is something that can be so lucrative as to enable a Ukrainian warehouse to devote almost 4,000 consoles to exploiting your game to make money, you're on the wrong side.
Yeah.
Is this not just like a natural, like think of the gold farmers for WoW or something? Is this just not, if there's enough, if an economy in a game is this big, is it just somewhere, sometimes someone's going to figure out a way of...
You're right. Yeah, it is. I guess this is just the modern version of gold farming, in a way. But that doesn't. It's disgusting.
Yeah,
this does feel grosser.
I feel like I don't really like slot machines all that much, except for that Mr. Do slot machine that they have on the set of the AEW pay-per-views. I
thought you were going to talk about the one in Tower Unite, but okay.
Well, also the Wheel of Money in Tower Unite is also a quality slot machine. But if you needed, and if you were on the fence at all about whether Ultimate Team is gambling or whether it is, like you said, an economy unto itself and all this other stuff, It's fucking bad.
There's always going to be Veruca Salt's father who buys up all the Wonka bars, trying to find that golden ticket, baby.
Yeah, I guess so. Is it weird? I mean, I don't think it's weird, but when you say Veruca Salt, I can only think of the band. It took me a minute to be what? Oh, right.
That's fair.
Okay.
Still garbage, no matter what. Still.
Veruca Salt's okay.
I meant the band garbage.
Caesar's a fine song. Oh, the band garbage? Yeah, the garbage is fine too. Nothing wrong with Shirley Manson.
What's his face? Butch Vig?
Yeah, Butch Vig. Celebrated producer. Butch Vig.
Celebrated. Never mind, baby. Come on.
Yeah. And some games got delayed.
To be clear, I do not think Veruca Salt is garbage. I don't want a bunch of Veruca Salt stands coming at me and being like, "What the fuck did you say about Veruca Salt?"
God damn it.
First IPAs.
She was garbage in the movie. She was a garbage person.
She was a child. It was her parents.
Still old enough to not be shitty. I mean, all those kids are shitty in that movie, right?
Maybe Willy Wonka.
Especially Charlie.
The capitalist who makes money off of cheap labor.
Charlie
kills children,
He's a kid murderer. We all know this, but he gets away with it. He
does. Was Augustus Gloop that bad?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Like, he just took it upon himself to start drinking that chocolate pond water. That would bother me if I was Willy Wonka. I'd be like, why do you think you're free to just do that right now?
It's bad parents, man. It's poor kids.
Yeah.
It's nature versus nurture. I mean, this is the ultimate example of that.
It's a bad parent story.
The worst parent is Charlie Bucket's granddad.
Oh, of course. Come on. Everyone knows Grandpa Joe's the biggest piece of shit in modern cinema.
Unbelievable. I mean, suddenly cured. I can get up.
Scumbag. Actual scumbag.
His mom does all the work for that family. Not cool, man.
Yeah. And he's like, yo, buy me tobacco, motherfucker.
Yeah. Fuck him. I'm
gonna shit in this bed.
That's right. Let's get into the delay zone here. There are enough games getting delayed that we might as well just have. We'll have to get some music for the delays. Delayed this week. Rainbow Six Extraction has been delayed to 2022. Riders Republic has been pushed back into October. And Ghostwire Tokyo.
It's weird to delay a game. They just announced that at E3.
Yeah.
Yes.
Both of them, right?
Yeah.
No,
Extraction had been announced the year before, but it kind of changed name.
It's called Quarantine.
Wasn't Riders Republic like September? I don't understand.
Yes, it only got pushed back 8 weeks. It's not a massive delay.
Right.
But it is a delay. And Ghostwire Tokyo delayed to 2022. And they cited in their tweet of a picture of text, like the health of the team. They're like, hey, come on, let's just... at the same time, we're also focused on protecting the health of everyone at Tango. Our new release window will give us time to bring the world of Ghostwire to life as we've always envisioned it. So,
it's not here in the notes, but what did you see the skate teaser thingy?
I saw that they were going to do a teaser, but did not see the actual teaser.
They did the teaser. I'll drop it.
It was like a dev diary or something, right?
It's a very short sort of. I would hazard to call it a sort of a commercial, almost like a stinger. Here's some shots of us and some influencers talking about this game and how rad it's going to be, and here's some mocap people, but like no dev or anything. Just like I guess it's been a year since we haven't talked about it. We should do something.
God, has that been a year already?
Since the announcement, yeah.
That's crazy.
And this is the thing they did because they weren't going to, like, this also came alongside them saying, hey, we're not going to be at EA Play Live this week. So like, hey, we're not going to show anything there, but we got a tiny little thing.
It's trying to develop.
It says something, again, dark. It says something slightly dark about the nature of game publicity these days, that so many people, so many studios have to come out and say what is not at their event. Like that, that level of expectation management, that we have reached that level of like, people are going to be mad if they don't see it. I'm like, what?
But there used to be just one event, right? It used to just be E3, and then that was it.
Right.
I think it's less the sadness of them having to preemptively temper expectations, and more just a sign of like how intimately involved everybody is. I'm not saying that's good or bad.
Yeah.
I just think it's very sort of, evident of like what this whole, news cycle, relationship has become, for better or worse.
The parasocial brand relationships, is that what we have now? Or you have to check in and be like, hey, I know you've been, saying skate on Instagram for 3 years. Don't worry, we're still working on it. I feel bad for the teams because like that level of scrutiny must be
a lot more
like,
pressure.
To have to worry about it. That stage is like, it's
and
early,
that's I think that's where I'm kind of a little torn about it, is because I like it when teams get to not show at an event, and they're just like, no, we've got work to do. Like, we're working on the game. I don't have time to fuck around with you for this trailer. Like, leave me alone so I can finish the goddamn game. So like, I'm happy to see more of that stuff kind of fall by the wayside. But the whole process of like, well, people are going to shit on the rest of our lineup if we get through this event and don't address this game. So let's just preemptively say, hey, what's not going to be here, and try to cut that off. And that's just, it's just awkward, but that's the way of the world now. Speaking of EA Play Live, that's happening Thursday morning, 10 a.m. Pacific time. We are going to talk over that. We are going to watch that and talk over that and see what Dead Space is all about, I guess. And hopefully they've got some other stuff. I don't know. Like, I don't. Did Need for Speed already put out their thing saying, "Hey, we're not going to be there"? Or that was for E3, wasn't it? Did Need for Speed came out and said, "Hey, we're not at E3 this year, but maybe they'll be here"? I don't know.
Can't remember.
Yeah, I know they did at one point say, "Hey, we're not showing," but maybe that was last year. So yes, we will be live to talk about that.
And I think Grubstacks is going to go early that day.
Yes. Cool. All right. Fantastic.
Have it for breakfast instead of an afternoon snack.
Yeah.
I wait until then anyway. Those are the days where I just like kind of fast a little bit in the morning.
That's smart. Time. That's smart. All right, let's get to it for news. Why don't we take another break? We'll come back and then we will go through your emails. Stay tuned. Hey, you're busy, you're leading the life of a busy person. You don't always have time to handle food for you, and in some cases, the family. So there's Grubhub. Grubhub is here to serve you, but also Grubhub is here to serve restaurants. Restaurants' reputations hinge on how well it can serve you, and Grubhub being in the middle there, they're not going to want to let the restaurants down, and they're not going to want to let you down. They don't want anyone's reputation to suffer in the middle of this. Grubhub works hard to serve restaurants so that they can work hard to serve you. And what kind of restaurants? All kinds of restaurants. Your local places, your national chains. Right now, Grubhub is doing something a little bit extra to serve Panera. You can get a free delivery perk on your first order from Panera of $15 or more. Order through the Grubhub app or online. Grubhub. We serve restaurants. All right, we're back. And now let's take your emails. Bombcast@giantbomb.com is the email address for you to send your emails into for me to see. Much like Meg in Massachusetts did. And Meg says, in the summer of 2000, Mario Tennis blessed us with Waluigi. It's been 21 years since the character's invention, birth, whatever. So what's he drinking to celebrate? What is Waluigi's drink of choice?
Purple. What's the most annoying thing you could order at a bar? Because that's what he's drinking.
It's Fernet? Like an AMF, but purple.
Is the Buckfast label purple? No, Buckfast is purple though, right? It's a yellow label with big purple grapes. So that's got.
Oh, I see what you're doing. Cool.
No?
Does Waluigi have Buckfast energy? Do you think that he is?
No,
Was it
I think
Wreck the Hoose Juice?
I think that's more. It's too playful. Buckfast is too playful. He is dastardly.
He's an abomination.
I was gonna say maybe lean, but he's not chill enough.
Yeah, no, he's not
a lightweight for sure. There's no doubt about it.
No, I think it's piss. Okay.
You think he says, "We got a pint of piss."
Yeah.
He brought his own.
Piss. He says, and
too light. He wants the grossest.
Yeah, no, he wants make sure you're dehydrated first. I want it thick.
Warm or cold? Warm or cold?
That's
fresh
right.
or
carbonated inexplicably. I don't know.
Yeah, he's like putting that into a soda stream.
Okay, soda streamed piss. It is.
That is just yep.
I think update the Wario page, Waluigi page. Wait, was this Waluigi or Wario?
Waluigi.
Oh,
it was. Okay, it was. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Wario is a man of refined taste, and I won't hear
he just
otherwise.
Drinks the Cosmopolitan. He's just like, hook it up.
Yeah.
I don't know why my mind is going to barbecue sauce.
Just straight up, just chugging a bottle of barbecue sauce. I believe it. Yeah, there's something. There's a chaos to Waluigi that I think makes some sense.
And wash it down with some nice bubbly piss.
Yeah, exactly. Some little extra fizz. Extra foamy.
That's right. I like it to piss.
All over my face. That's
the irony. He's too tall. He needs somebody with a particularly fast stream to get up to him, and Wario is just not up to the job.
No, yeah.
He's got to get on a ladder or something.
Mario's a dribbler. We all know that. Wario is neither a grower or a shower. Zach writes in, I used to run a craft beer bar near Santa Cruz, worked at a notable award-winning brewery, and brewed beer myself. And I can tell you all... Yeah, I don't know.
Why is he mad?
I don't know.
See that in the word?
There's sneer quotes. There's sneer quotes later on, so I'm
fair.
Just applying that to the entire email. And I can tell you that all the beer snobs in the Bay Area can absolutely get down with some shitty light beer. Hams and Coors seem to generally be the favored choices among most brewers I know, but they truly aren't too picky. Maybe it's different over there on the least coast, but here in the Bay, we can appreciate the finer things and also aren't too good for the people's beer. In the same way, sometimes you just want a shitty pizza.
Again, like, motherfucker just not speaking my language at all, because there's no shitty pizza where I come from, and you can't just settle for shitty pizza. I guess you could just order like fucking Domino's or something, or Papa John's.
I love a Domino's.
No,
I love a
Domino's.
Domino's
Is good. Shitty pizza is the non-chain pizza that sucks. There's like a low tier non-chain pizza.
Like when you drive down the street and you happen to see a car with like a Domino's thing delivering, you're just like, what? Like you don't even. It's like seeing. It's like a very strange thing to see. You're like, a horse is driving that car. Like
it's the equivalent of being an Italian and eating any American pizza.
Yeah. Well, okay. I mean, I've been to Italy and had pizza there. It's pretty damn good, but it's not. That's
I got pizza when I was in Rome because I was like, well, when in Rome, order pizza,
Domino's.
and I was not especially happy with it.
Part of the quote.
They got Domino's. If they had Domino's, I would have. There was a McDonald's next to our hotel, but I didn't have the guts to go.
I can hear Vinny Caravella squeezing his fist really hard right now. I feel like the pizza I had in Naples was pretty up to snuff with like what I wanted to feel like being impressed by a true Italian pizza. Here, I'll say this: over the weekend, I was at a barbecue. It was so disgustingly hot outside. It was like 96 degrees. Not swigging down an 8% IPA. Okay, that's insanity. I'm not a monster. Okay. But so I drank. I didn't even drink White Claws. I drank some fucking Kirkland knockoff White Claws, and you know what? They were fine. Presumably they're literally the same exact thing. Like I don't understand how the formula could be that different from like Kirkland brand.
The vodka artisans of White Claw weren't present at the Kirkland facility. It's all just
you have to technically call it sparkling piss, I think is the formal name. Like, if it's not, if the artisans are not present.
That shit's better than like a Miller Lite or a Bud Light or something like that, because it's got more booze in it probably at 5%.
Yeah, I agree with you, but I guess like I carry that over into like, but also I don't like beer. But if I'm in a situation where beer is to be drank, I would rather have Miller Lite because at least it doesn't taste a lot like beer.
So, yeah, that is a completely fair statement.
Yeah,
there is
never
beer.
once, well, maybe once, but it is exceedingly rare. If I'm like thirsty, if I'm like, I've got a thirst to be quenched, and boy, is it hot, I do not want a beer.
Yeah,
I want a Diet Coke or water but I do not want a beer of any stripe whatsoever. Like
I want water. When I am parched in a way that I want water.
People are like, an ice cold Corona on a day. It's like, yeah, you could do that, but like, what if instead I just had some ice cold fucking water?
Because when you're so thirsty, you're like chugging that water.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want that to be beer, I guess. No, like that is like you could do that. It just seems wrong though. Like your body's
you gotta have a cider.
Desperate. It's like, the hydration. Sure. Oh, beer. What? You did this? This is what you did to us? It's 95 degrees out.
Yeah.
Beer? Okay, you're drunk now. I don't know.
Yeah, you're drunk and it's 96 degrees. Good luck.
And now you have to pee.
IPAs. Is what I hear now.
That is he's clearly not what I said.
He's heard the backlash from the people. That is
So I should also keep in mind that is the one beer email I took. There were about 7 others shit talking IPAs.
I haven't seen them. I haven't seen them.
But this one has a PS on it. Are you guys aware of the Fernet craze in the Bay Area? I swear the entire food and service industry is powered by that sticky purple stuff.
Awful,
I only bring it up because I've heard it compared to Buckfast just without the caffeine. Fernet,
it's worse.
What the fuck is Fernet?
It's bad. Fernet's the worst.
Fernet is fucking. It's not Malort, but it's fucking it's somewhere in there. Fernet, I don't know. I've not been hanging out in bars for probably like 7 years, but I know everyone I knew that was like bartender, service industry, like in bands, like local audio engineer, working show type stuff. There was definitely a lot of fucking Fernet getting poured, and I have had more Fernet than a person should have.
Yeah,
what is
it's like a sort of end of the night. Like, what is it? It's not quite a liqueur. It's kind of like it's a sticky.
Is it a dessert thing?
Yeah, it's not an aperitif either, but it's in that range. I think like there's all these like old wives' tales.
Bitter aromatic spirit, according to Wikipedia.
Oh, it's so bad.
Oh, okay. So it's a little.
It's like
smelly?
Drinking Robitussin or something. It's just it has like
smells
a
chemically. It smells like barbecue sauce.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Waluigi's favorite.
Where's the piss?
Yeah.
I feel like
it's like an end of the night thing.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think what else I would compare.
It's like, and it's a dare kind of drink sometimes too, where people are like, here, let's have shots. Fernet for the whole bar, and. And then you watch everyone go, blah.
For whatever reason, it made me. I know it's not this, but it made me think of Jägermeister, and I was just.
It's more of like a sticky Porsche or something. It's not as
Jägermeister's so upsetting. Oh my god!
I can drink Jägermeister. I mean, well, it's been a long time, but like, so I did not drink any. I had not encountered Jägermeister at all until I was probably in my mid-30s, and then my roommate and I decided to get way into Jägermeister, and we were bringing it to parties. We found ourselves at a fucking high school party.
Oh no!
Whoa!
Oh no!
And again, like I said, in my mid-30s, we were like, because so at the time, my roommate was younger than I was, but not that much. And then we were living with a guy who was like 19, and he's like, I'm going over to this party, and we're like, cool, let's go. And we show up at this party later, and then walk in and go, oh shit, we have to go. We got to get out of here. Or we're going to jail. Like, we have to fucking leave now. And
deer blood. That's what it is.
Not
Exactly,
before
yes.
some Jaeger bombs. Is that what happens?
Well, but we showed up with like a gigantic bottle of Jägermeister that we had pulled out of the freezer and like walked in drinking a bunch of it. And so it's like, oh, like now we just had a bunch to drink and now we're like, I don't want to get pulled over driving away from a high school party after having just drank a bunch of Jaeger. Like, this is probably a terrible, it was a questionable scene.
Do you guys have Jaeger bombs over here? Is that a thing?
Yeah.
You can.
In 2004, I was on tour with a band, and that's all they drank the entire time.
Yeah.
For
It's easy to
5
drink 'em.
months straight.
Yeah.
They're too easy to drink.
What do you
They
drop
would-
them into? What is the traditional Jaeger
Heineken
bomb?
and Red Bull.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
No.
Red Bull. Because I feel like we were dropping them into Red Bull a lot and other
Yeah.
energy drinks.
So gross. They would just like line them up like 3 hours before they played, and the smell. Now I can't even be in the same room as it. If I smell it, I'm just like, I just gag. It is so gnarly to me now.
I'm that way with rum. After
Sure.
it's literally like we documented on camera the last time I was able to drink rum, because when Adam Boys and Craig and them came through and we played Age of Booty and drank a bunch of rum.
Oh yeah, then. Jeez, that was ages ago.
That was it for me with rum. Like, because we spilled, so we drank a lot of rum that night. Like, Adam had to ride home in the back of his own car at the end of that night. I had to I was fucking tossed. I was fucking wasted. But on top of that, it's fucking rum, and we were slobs in the office with rum, and it got on everything.
Oh no.
And it's sticky ass fucking rum and coke on everything. My fucking AP style guide, like, just everything on my desk had a haze, just a sticky gunk on it that stank of fucking rum. So even coming in like the next day or Monday, or I think that was a weekend, whatever it was just like, oh fuck, really? God, shit, this sucks. And I have had rum exactly once since then, and it was a chore.
It is amazing the memory your body has with stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like, I've gotten sick from having sushi, right? And I'll eat it 6 months later. I'll figure out a way and I'll get back on the sushi train and I'll be okay.
I'm
never gonna have Jaeger ever again.
I had katsu 2 days ago for the first time since E3 2 years ago when I got sick after having some katsu. But I'm the same way. Vodka was the same with me. I had a bad vodka when I was like way too young, and drink it like ever since, basically. Ugh.
Yeah, we eventually we drank so much Jägermeister that we were like, "What's Baron Jaeger? Let's get a bunch of that too." And it's like the honey kind of like it comes in a wicker bottle. It's like just ridiculous.
Bees come out of it when you open it. That's
basically.
Oh, Jan's back.
Oh, cool, Jan.
Yeah.
Hey, what's up?
Last time I drank Jaeger, I threw up in one of these.
Oh, okay. Poor Avengers.
Yeah, well,
Avengers trash can.
They'll be okay. Let's see here. Let's take 2 more here real quick. Rob writes in, longtime emailer, the Atari VCS is worse than you even think. This is Atari's new piece of hardware that came out about a month ago and has been kicking around for a while. In case you missed it, we talked about it recently. It's not good. And he says it's even worse than you think. So I have not spent a ton of time with it, but my initial impressions were low. Let's see here.
I want to hear what else it could possibly do to disappoint you.
Like you said, they advertise it like you can use it as a desktop PC. By virtue of retro gaming impulse, I backed the Indiegogo project. I knew it would be bad, but I had to have it regardless. I understand. After reading the upgrade how-tos, I ordered some extra RAM and an internal M2 drive. I figured I can just use this for RetroArch in my family room. It will look cool when I have guests over. Here's the fine print I didn't realize at the time.
It's no matter what rationalization, by the way.
Yeah.
It's always like, this will be sick when my friends come over, and it'll be so simple to just turn this shit on, and I'll have my retro art.
It's like, you want to play Donkey Kong Country? It's fucking on this Atari looking thing.
It's wood panel.
No matter what, it will not boot to the second internal drive. So you cannot just boot to Windows or Linux. You can boot to the primary M2 or external USB. To get to my Windows M2 drive, I need to first boot into the Atari OS and then select PC mode, which is an item on the menu when you are running the kind of main mode.
Right.
And then his final bullet point on that one is, why would anyone ever want to go into Atari OS? Which is exactly my point with my impressions of it, as it stands without treating it like a full PC and upgrading it, is what it does out of the box is not compelling in any way.
So could you couldn't BIOS like boot? Is there no BIOS on this thing?
There has to be commands somewhere that tell this what to do, right? Like
you swap
getting into
the
the
M2
BIOS
drives.
So he goes on. You can overclock the CPU. You can purchase faster RAM to speed it up a bit. I didn't realize the faster RAM part, so now I just have more slow RAM. The BIOS is locked.
Oh no!
Oh no!
Why would they do that on a system they market as a desktop PC? You need to find your firmware version's BIOS password to make any of these changes. So yeah, when I went digging for like what's the deal with upgrading this thing and doing different things to it, I found a lot of people that were trying to contact support to get the BIOS password, and
I'm sure that's a good phone call.
and being told we don't have it, basically.
Yeah.
And so there was someone on this thread, I think it was on Atari Age, and it was people going like, okay, boot it up and then get a wire and basically like hit these two jumpers at this point on the BIOS chip, and then that will get you into the BIOS screen so you can make the changes you want to make. But there's no clean way into that. Also, don't do this because it might break it. Like they were very cautious. Like, hey, this is how I did it, but you're gonna fucking break the thing, so don't do that. So
I think I know what your
it's
next stream
upgradable
is,
up to a point, but they don't necessarily quite give you the full keys to the castle there. And here's his here's his conclusion. On the other than it looking neat, there are no redeeming qualities about this console, and the person that designed it didn't even get paid. Which, yeah, that was a controversy going around about this thing a while ago. Is that the person who designed it was not paid? I don't know if that got resolved or not. I don't know what the actual scenario is there. But yes, there was a time when there were complaints along those lines. And then proving that Rob has learned nothing. He says, on the other hand, I truly believe the Amico will be a sleeper hit.
I hope that's a joke, because it's a very good joke.
He goes on. If someone is making fun of it, it wasn't designed for them. I have a 3-year-old and a 5-year-old. Their grandparents visit all the time. I really think the Amico is a perfect fit for my situation. Easy games for kids and grandparents. Rob, I'm with you. Rob, yes.
On paper,
yes, absolutely. Do I think that they'll be able to execute on that in a meaningful, long-lasting way, the way you want a video game platform to do it? That's where all my questions lie. Like, yes, on paper, you look at it and go like, oh, screens on the controllers, that sounds awesome. That sounds like a really neat idea. A lot of what they're saying sounds like it could have some merit, but it comes down to having faith in that team to execute on that vision effectively and also support it for a length of time. I think that's the part where I look at it and go like, I just don't see it. It's possible. I'd love to be wrong.
It's possible. Anything's possible. And why do we say these things? Because making games is fucking impossible. It's fucking impossible. It's absolutely impossible. It's like golf.
Exactly.
It's fucking impossible.
I saw a long, not a long thread per se, but I saw someone who was involved in some of the design of this thing talking a little bit about it on Facebook in terms of just like, there's some really neat ideas here, but like at the end of the day, it's meant to hit a price point, and it is what it is. Was the rough gist of what I was reading. So it just seems like it'll end up being like an underpowered unit that is gonna maybe disappoint. I know some of the developer docs were listed publicly for a while, and people kind of picked those apart and went like, wait a minute, what is this thing? This is going to be an uphill battle for sure, but we'll see. 2 more quick ones here. Matthew says, listening to you talk about Mario hockey got me wondering what other obscure and unpopular sports would be fun with the Mario treatment.
What is with these digs? You don't have to say obscure and unpopular. Hockey is not that. This isn't such a dig, such an unnecessary, unearned dig.
I just appreciate with the way Matthew wrote that, and we don't have to even answer him. It's
true, because you're right. I feel like people are now in on the bit a little bit, because you You don't need to say obscure.
It's good shit.
It's not
It's good
some
shit.
fucking like foreign thing that like only 8 people play in some country somewhere. I mean, Jesus.
It's still getting a reaction.
Fine.
So
Yeah,
It's not like
exactly.
lacrosse.
I mean, you're selling it, so it's no highlight.
Look, I'll tell you this: fucking Mario hockey is gonna happen way before Mario lacrosse. Okay, don't forget that shit.
I don't know, man. A lot of kids
Except
playing
in
lacrosse.
Maryland. Except in Maryland. Maybe
Yeah.
in Maryland it'll come
Yeah.
out.
Mario
it'd be
Dragon
like-
Boat.
We like lacrosse and also like mint julep horse racing simulator or something. I feel like those are the same. That's the same crossover audience
Wait,
there.
I feel bad. Was there any more in that?
Nope, that's it. That's it.
Should have had me read.
that was good.
Mike and Hanoi says, while countless other while countless other companies have entered and exited the video game console market over the past 50 years, Nintendo has held fairly steady. They certainly had some very low points, but I think it's fair to say no other company has had the staying power that they've had over the years. Why do you think that is? How does Nintendo do it? I think I have an answer to this.
Okay, go
Let's
on.
hear it.
I'm
All right.
struggling.
I think that they have successfully threaded the needle on becoming the closest equivalent to a Disney-like figure
Sure.
in the game space, in that they have a huge nostalgic appeal that is still all ages enough for parents to want to introduce it to their children. And so
Sure.
their properties are set up in a way that helps them become multi-generational.
Yeah.
Because, you know, parents always talk about like, I don't know what Mario game am I going to, like that's a discussion the same way people talk about what's going to be your first Disney princess movie, what's going to be your first Star Wars. Like it's those sorts of conversations happen. I just think Nintendo is obviously pivotal in the history of video games for kind of bringing back the console market. And that came at a pretty pivotal time in a lot of people's lives. And so they have that nostalgia. They kept it up for a good long time to hit kind of multiple generations early on through the 80s and 90s. And now we're on the other side of that, where those people are starting to have kids and they want to introduce these family-friendly games to their children.
Sure.
And
Yeah.
I think that
I'd
that
way
has helped them
rather-
weather storms.
Yeah. Me personally, obviously lean a certain way, but like I'm way more tuned in and cognizant of like which Mario game my kid's gonna play first, as to like, I can't wait to show you fucking Aladdin. Like, no, that is just not the thing. Like it is the game. That is the connection. I realized, like I said, that is my person and that is what I'm into, but I'm pretty sure that is a commonality amongst people our age right now. Because do you have a personal connection with Mickey Mouse in a way that like, or that Disney stuff in a way?
No, and mine, the only youthful connection I have to Mickey Mouse is that Genesis game that came out that was really good. Like, Castle of Illusion was a great game.
Yeah.
And so even my Mickey Mouse connection is tied to a side-scrolling platformer that Mario did better. As much as I do like Castle of Illusion, I'm not interested in actual Disney per se. Like a lot, I was in that lane where like, I don't know, like I saw Bambi as a kid at a drive-in. It's Dumbo. Does Dumbo matter? I don't know, but like I was maybe too old for, like, by the time DuckTales came out and started to like introduce a new generation to Donald Duck, I was too old for that, so I didn't care.
Yeah.
So like I feel like I kind of fell through a crack there.
Yeah.
Like I'm just of an age where I fell through some kind of Disney crack, and it never truly took hold the way that it does for some other people.
And on the other side of that as well, like I didn't grow up playing Nintendo games. I had friends who had Nintendos, but I didn't care about Nintendo. But Nintendo isn't also just a children's company. Like we all play Nintendo games now, and I play Nintendo games and I have no nostalgia for Nintendo games. And I wonder if like there was this sort of like, there's a bit of I remember reading a couple of years ago about sort of reframing the way video games were marketed in the 90s as very adolescent boy marketing from a lot
Yeah.
of Western companies in particular. The Sega versus Nintendo stuff is sort of like maybe part of that. But Nintendo has its own identity as a Japanese company, but it's not as like gendered as a lot of that stuff. It's not as age specific as a lot of that stuff. I wonder
Right.
if there was always more people from different, like, I wonder if more women, I suspect, like, even when I worked in GameStop, you know, it's been a long time ago, 15 years ago, but it was still like DS and stuff. That was the only console we were selling to kids, adults, people of all descriptions, you know what I mean? Whereas
Right.
you kind of knew if someone was coming in to buy an Xbox, you know, it was like a certain
Sure.
person
Yeah.
generally, you know. So I wonder if that is something to do with it as well, that they've sort of never been defined by that stuff, or less so maybe than other people.
That probably helps. I mean, they had to, I think, through the Super Nintendo era, because Sega had swung so hard in that direction. I think Nintendo tried to kind of play it both ways a little bit, and they tried to get a little edgy in spots. But that manifested as like, what is it, like the play it loud Game Boy? You know, it's not.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, they're like, this is the punk rock Game Boy. This is the punk rock mosh pit of Game Boys. And whatever else. It wasn't like a full on attitude the way Sega was trying to make it work. You know, yeah. I think Nintendo tried to ride a line very hard the entire time, and sometimes that doesn't serve them super well, because sometimes they're a little bit out of step with players in some parts of the world. And so they'll do better in some places or others, depending on how in tune they are with that player base. But they're always there enough, and they always have that legacy to fall back on, that even in the darkest times, they are still, much like Disney, you know, like even in the darkest of times, Disney still has Mickey Mouse, Donald Duck, Goofy, like, you know, these huge characters that are still huge. Like, you know, Nintendo still has Mario and Zelda, you know, these franchises, you know, like Splatoon will come and go. Kid Icarus will come and go. Ice Climber will come. Urban Champion will come and go. But they've got enough stuff that will carry them through, even if none of the new IP is hitting. They still have that as a fallback. So even in their darkest times, they've still had that, even if those games have been rough. I mean, you know, like what is the darkest time for Nintendo? Like, I was tempted to say GameCube because I was about to say Super Mario Sunshine, but like, it's like probably that N64 through GameCube era where like those were the Wii U, maybe a little dark, but like even in those times, there are still individual games you can point to and go like, yeah, but they put this out then. Like, it's easy to shit talk the GameCube, but you know, Wind Waker came out there. You know, it's Animal Crossing came out of the
Eternal
States there. It was
yeah.
They were still selling
Eternal
Game Boys that whole time as well, you know.
Exactly. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you know, also maybe the less visible version of this, as well as whatever design ethos they have, right? Because they did keep coming up with new and innovative ways of using these characters as well. It wasn't like they just regurgitated the same game. Like Mario has continued to innovate. The consoles themselves, I mean, they've had ups and downs, but like, you know, the Wii doesn't come out of any other company. It's so that they are such a philosophy. Their philosophy, whatever it is about designing hardware and software, is unique, and they've somehow managed to retain it and train the next generation to, you know, respect that. And it probably has a lot to do with Japanese culture as well, and the art of craftsmanship there as well, you know. But you know, they're sort of a closed box. I wish we knew a bit more about some of that sort of stuff, but they're hard to crack open.
Definitely. You know, you get your little bits and pieces. I haven't read the Iwata book yet, but that seems like you get so few chances. But like, you know, like I always want to, like, when it comes to Nintendo, like I want to have the conversation about the Virtual Boy, you know, and that sort of stuff. That's like one of the wildest swings they could have took at the time. But out of the gate, looking at it, you're like, no, this is not going to happen. This is not, I don't know, maybe in some other territory than this one, but like I remember playing Teleroboxer at a trade show and coming away from it going like, that was cool. I don't ever want to do that again. That's cool that they made Robot Punch Out. It's a shame they made it in this red nightmare. And, you know, like the Nintendo that was willing to put that thing out and then bail on it as soon as they're like, oh, we fucked up. Like, this is a terrible move, but they still did it. That's kind of cool. And you're right. No other company does the Wii, or if they do, it's like a $40 thing in a Sharper Image catalog that's like, it kind of plays golf. And it's like a total piece of shit. Which happened after the fact, when people tried to catch that wave a little bit. But yeah, I don't know. I think there's just a lot of reasons, but they're steady, even in what you would think of as the darker times for Nintendo. They have always been steady. There's always something you can point to and go, well, we may look at this era, we may look at this generation of consoles as a failure in comparison to what was competing with it, or install base, or whatever. But here's like 4 games that are fucking killer that came out at this time, and
right.
That's not something that is easy to do, and it's not something that you necessarily see out of other long running publishers. So
we had that news story earlier as well about them sort of tweeting that thing out, which might be for investors. I also wonder if, and I don't know because I don't really have much of. I've only been to Japan once, and I don't really have much knowledge about its culture or history. But I wonder if there is less speculation when it comes to corporations in Japan than there is here, that need to sort of grow constantly. That happens with Western companies, where you see a lot of consolidation and just a lot of crashes, like companies completely disappearing, like Atari, for instance. Like, so I wonder over a long period of time, does it sort of, because even Sega's like survived, like they had bad times, but they survived. So I wonder if there's just more of a thought of legacy, or not being that so growth dependent, outside of America, where that tends to be the main way of thinking about it.
I think that probably is part of it, and also it's their past successes have given them room to fail without it threatening the whole company. Sega shit the bed one too many times in a row and had to make a bunch of mergers and sell and do this, and they changed hands or bought other things and have come out the other end a different company than they were in the Dreamcast era. Like, that's not Sega anymore. It is, but it's not the same people that made those classic games where, like, you can look at Nintendo and say, yeah, some of those people are still there, still affiliated, still making it happen, for better or worse. Like, it's still that team. And so when you have, it's like they gave a GDC talk about how, like, it was like one of those keynote addresses. I want to say it was Iwata, but like basically one of the takeaways was just like, yeah, you just got to be able to, here's our advice for game development. You just got to be able to iterate and just take as much time as you need. You're like, yeah, cool. If you're Nintendo and you can keep throwing money at a thing forever, sure.
Yeah.
The war chest is that full.
Yeah. But like, it's just not applicable to the average studio. I mean, Skull and Bones notwithstanding, they're going to keep setting money on fire over there. But yeah, so like they have that. I think that's the thing that lets them get away with it, right? Is like they have had huge successes in enough eras where, they're, by accounts, it sounds like they're relatively cash rich these days. And so they can afford to take their time and fuck up and not put out a upgraded console and not catch this hype cycle. And, they can do things at their own pace the way that they always have. And I think that constancy eventually serves them like over the long haul. Like, they may miss a moment where you look at it and go like, if they had this device at this time, it would have taken the world by storm even more, and it would have done this. If they would have had this software out in this year instead of this year, like, they could have done this. But like, you don't get the impression that that's like what drives them. Like, talking to people over the years that have gone through Nintendo and have worked with NCL and just worked with the Japanese division in different ways. Like, it sounds like almost frustrating at a point, because if you're used to American style of business and they're just like, we'll get there. You're like, no, let's get there fucking now. Like, we could do this. If everyone just gets up and like, let's make it happen. They're like, all right, look, kid. Like it's exactly. And I think it's cool that they can be that company, but as a fan of their games, I sure wish that they put out more of them. But maybe they wouldn't be as special if they did it that way. In fact, they probably almost certainly wouldn't be. So
yeah,
they're doing their thing. That's gonna be it for us. For us here, we've done our thing. It's the Giant Bombcast. Here with you every Tuesday. Thank you all for hanging out in the, I was going to say the hot or the cold or the just right with us.
That Goldilocks zone. That's what you want.
Yeah, that's nice. That's nice.
It's starting to get hot. It's starting to get hot now.
Yeah, it's bad here, and all my house is getting painted, and all my windows are covered over with plastic, which is not a good combo for the heat. So
hotbox.
Yes, exactly. We're gonna hotbox the whole house.
Getting real moist.
Cool. Oh yeah, it's America's Most Wanted over here.
Okay.
Ooh, late contender for an episode name.
No, thank you.
I don't want to buy WWE t-shirts, but when I saw that t-shirts after their pay-per-view, I'm pretty sure I'm gonna eventually crack and buy that t-shirt. It is grotesque. It is a disgusting t-shirt, and I want to thank whoever designed it, as it is filthy.
Give John Morrison a title run, damn it.
Yes. Put a belt on Johnny Drip Drip. All right, that'll be it for us here. We'll see you next week. We'll see you Thursday. We're going to talk over that EA thing. Friday for UPF. And we've got Grub Snacks on Thursday. Other stuff coming up. So stay tuned. We'll see you soon. Bye.